Music licensing reimagined.
Long time coming, black on the bottom of my feet from running. Cataracts under my eyes from hustling. Going from buying to selling to customers. Run up the business, God is my witness. Sun up the sun up from Monday to Sunday. We maxing our limits. My mind running like Tom Cruise on an action movie. Moving a mission, they say that I'm tripping. I've been told I need a vacation. I'm finessing a visit.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers and welcome to Stat Diggers for UFC 313. We have Alex Pereira going against Magomed Ankalaev, and it feels great, Weezy, to kick off the show with some music that isn't, how do I say this? Music that doesn't suck, right? The elevator music, StreamYard kind of was it was awful. So I went out, Weezy, and I took some time and I put together a new intro, handmade. So that was that.
You know, it's really good, Brady, but you know what sucks are your mic settings. Again, StreamYard, not only screwing us over on elevator music, but picking your mic settings out at the beginning of every show. It's unprofessional on their end, and it's unacceptable in my opinion. Your voice is way better than what we just heard.
Dang. I checked it before the show though. I mean, why are they doing? I pay like it's $250 a year for StreamYard, if not more. It could be upwards of $300 a year for StreamYard, and they do this to me. First, they do the trash intro. I have to go out, take my time and put together a new intro because of them, and then they ruin my mic settings. They ruin the intro. Quite frankly, I don't want to do this show anymore. I don't want to do the show tonight. I'm tired. I say we just end it here. This could be the quickest Stat Diggers in UFC in history. Just end the show right here because I don't know. The show's ruined now.
We can't do it. We can't do it though, man. We got our sponsor, our guy Avery Marino at MMA_very sponsoring the show, dude. This is not like we're just doing this for the people that are watching. We're getting sponsored here, so we got to act like professionals. Even if StreamYard is extremely unprofessional, we've got to be the opposite, Brady. We've got to put in the work. We got to be the professionals here that help us and help everybody else stack cash tickets like flapjacks for this UFC pay-per-view event we got coming up this weekend.
You're right. We're getting sponsored, and they need to be a little bit more professional. But it's not my fault. Nothing's ever my fault. On this show, Weezy, we don't take responsibility. It's never our fault. It's the ref's fault. It's the fighter's fault. It's StreamYard's fault. Why are we late? It's not our fault. It's the kid's fault. It's the wife's fault. It's never our fault. We take no responsibility on the show, and that's how we've always done, and that's how we always will do it. But yeah, shout out to the sponsor of the show. That is our guy Avery. Thank you, Avery, for sponsoring the show. Give him a follow at MMA_very on X. He does giveaways. He posts his takes in there. Go check him out. MMA_very there. Great guy. Let's do a quick recap of last night. And yeah, last night's been fun. Haven't you noticed, Weezy? Since the trash gloves got put to rest, we've been having some fun cards. We've been having some great cards. We're getting finishes. Fights are more exciting. The new glove curse is no more. So last night's card was a lot of fun. Let's start with the Stat Diggers Parlay of the Week, Weezy. We cashed it. Cashed the Stat Diggers Parlay of the Week. It was one leg because the John Castaneda fight fell off. In that one leg, it closed at plus money. It was the Danny Barlow, Sam Patterson under 1.5 rounds. Stat Diggers Parlay comes through. The piping of the week was, unfortunately, Danny left hand to God Barlow. Well, there was a piping in that fight. There was certainly a piping in that fight, but the person that did get piped was poor Danny Barlow. Sam Patterson knocked him out in the first round. Was not expecting that. I think Dixon Sider called that one. I think Dixon called a Sam Patterson knockout like plus 1,200. So shout out to Dixon for that. But yeah, I was expecting maybe a Patterson sub one, but a knockout. So yeah, shout out to Danny Barlow for getting piped on site. In terms of the betting, what happened?
No, just getting piped on site. It's still funny.
Oh yeah, no, it's hilarious, man. It's great. So last night I kind of want to have last night back. I felt the reads were great. Loved last night from a betting perspective, but started off the night very cold. I really liked Charles Johnson last night. I liked him. I beat a ton of line movement, got him at plus 114. He closed around minus 135, minus 140. And, I got a lot of crap for losing that bet, but it's like, geez, I can't make Charles Johnson go in there and throw volume. Like I felt like Charles Johnson came in there and did some things good, but I also think he did some things very bad. The first thing I thought Charles Johnson did very bad was that stupid ass haircut he has. It looked awful. It looked a lot worse than usual. It was puffy. At least he didn't dye it like green. So shout out to him for that. But it was puffy and just it looked disgusting. But yeah, I liked what Charles Johnson was bringing to the table in the fight in terms of the pressure. He pressured early on. He did, kind of stumble and fall like 4 or 5 times in the first round. So clearly lost the first. But in the second, he was doing some good things. He was pressuring the entire time. But the problem with that pressure was it was empty pressure. He wasn't throwing anything to back it up and ends up getting outlanded. So yes, the pressure was good, but didn't throw anything. I thought if he would have started fighting like 2.5 minutes sooner, he would have easily won that fight. And then in the third round, it was just all Charles Johnson. If he would have fought the second like he fought the third, it was an easy win. So I kind of feel like he just kind of threw the fight away. Shout out to Temirov for getting it done, but I really thought that was a winnable fight. And I know Charles Johnson would have liked to have that one back because that was a very winnable fight had he just started a little bit sooner. So I really question that the game planning. I really question the haircut, especially of Charles Johnson. Other than that, I had the fight doesn't go to decision in the Danny Silva, Lucas Almeida fight. Probably my worst bet of the night. A lot of people were on it. Did beat some line movement on that as well. It was getting steamed throughout the week. Really wasn't close whatsoever. I mean, Danny Silva landed some really good shots, but just doesn't have a ton of power. Lucas Almeida was getting pieced up in the first 2 rounds, but was able to eat the shots quite easily. And the fight ends up going 15. Really no finishing opportunities on either side. I kind of expected Danny Silva to grapple more. He didn't. And quite frankly, a disappointing performance from Danny Silva where he looked amazing in the first 10 minutes. And then in the third round, just kind of cruise. I hate when guys do that. Just you're up 2 rounds and then you cruise to the decision. And we see that a couple times last night. So this one hurts as well. I had Chepe Mariscal inside the distance, was very confident in it. And I felt like he really let him off the hook. In that second round, I did not like how Ramos was reacting to the punches. Chepe really started to put it on him and pour it on him. But yeah, just kind of stepped off the gas pedal for some reason. Kind of cruised as well in that third round. Did win a 30-27 across all 3 judges' scorecards. But geez, I thought he really could have got Ramos out of there had he just been a little bit more aggressive. So yeah, I started off the night terribly, and it was looking to be a trash night. But after that, everything went pretty good. I had Mario Pinto to win by knockout for 2 units. That was brutal. And geez, dude, Austin Lane was looking incredible in the first 5 minutes. I'm like, no, I'm gonna lose this bet too. and then so Austin Lane won the first round clearly. He almost finished Pinto in the first round, and then the second round started, and it's like Austin Lane just threw all game planning, just threw everything he ever learned about mixed martial arts out the window. And just went full idiot and just swung and banged with Pinto and got knocked out doing it. Like Austin Lane probably could have easily won that fight had he not fought like that in the second round. So I'm not sure why he did that, but hey, it helped Pinto get that knockout and cash that. The only thing I had in the Patterson Barlow fight was just the under 2.5 rounds in a parlay. Probably should have, like I told you, Weezy, before the fights even started, I'm like, man, probably should be betting that under 1.5. It's plus money, plus 100. Ended up not doing that. But yeah, the under 2.5 comes through easily. And this was my bright spot of the card, Weezy. Hyder Emil, 1 unit, plus 185. I'm really glad he won because the amount of crap I talked about Gomi all week, I mean, it would have been a really bad look. But I did talk a lot of crap about William Gomi. I said that he should change his name to William Split or Majority Decision Gomi or William the Hypnotist Gomi as well. But you can't hypnotize Hyder Emil. You just can't. This guy's you just came forward the entire time. And yeah, skill for skill. Who's the more skilled fighter? William Gomi by a mile. But that's not all that matters. It was a very close fight. But I'm glad that Hyder Emil got his hand raised there, and Gomi goes to another split or majority decision, living up to his nickname. So that was a good cash. So I had Hackbrass Ribovic's fight doesn't go, and I'm not mad about that bet. It was plus 150. I mean, these guys hit each other over, I think, almost 300 times, and both guys have a lot of power. And then I also had Ribovic's round 2, round 3, and round 3 was plus 1400. He lands a knee in the 3rd round, and then he lands a head kick at the end of the 3rd round. I think both those strikes knock out 75% of the lightweight division. So it's like, geez, close, but Hackbrass showed just a lot of durability, which he is. He's durable, but that knee was nasty, and that head kick was nasty as well. The Brundage Marquez fight, I had the under 2.5 to close out the violence parlay, the square ass violence parlay of the week. 2.5 units on it to win a little bit over 2 units. Under 2.5 in Brundage Marquez, under 2.5 in Patterson Barlow. And then I did add Julian Marquez by knockout at plus 475, and that was very close, very, very close, but no cigar. And then I ended the night on a very high note with Manel Kopp minus 210 for 2.5 units. And I was telling you, man, I was like, I want to max bet Manel Kopp, and it's terrifying. But geez, I really liked him in the matchup. I thought it was a phenomenal matchup for Manel Kopp. I thought that, the only way he loses this fight is if he beats himself. Like, this is a fight where he really should not lose to this guy. Like, stylistically, I think he has the takedown defense, scrambling ability, jiu-jitsu to keep it upright. And then I just think the striking should be one-way traffic. And he did cheat. He did. I didn't notice it at first, but he did poke Asim Abayev in the eyes like 50 times. Yeah. So feels good to cash the bet, but Manel Kopp is a cheater, and I believe he did that. Did he do that in the Bruno Silva fight? I know somebody got poked.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He fucking definitely poked Silva. He wouldn't have finished Silva unless he had poked him.
Yeah. So, but you got to take him when you can take him, right? So, yeah. Oh, and I want to bet on Song Yadong against Henry Cejudo 2 weeks ago. So I'm winning with these eye pokes lately. So that's good, man. That's good. I'm glad to be on the right side of them. So overall, down about a unit 0.4, but geez, a lot of these spots were close. Marquez KO couldn't have been any closer. Ribovic's round 2 or round 3 couldn't have been any closer. Charles Johnson, if Charles Johnson fought a better game plan, I thought that could have been just an easy win. And a couple other spots as well. But yeah, just would have liked to have last night back. But Weezy, I know you didn't have a ton of action. How did UFC Vegas 1-3 go for you?
It was bad for me. I went 6 of 10 on my picks, but I got the ass shaving of the week wrong. I had Ribovic's. I thought he was going to shave Hackbrass' ass. Dude, that was such a good fight. I mean, both guys, shout out Ribovic's, shout out Hackbrass. That was an absolute banger. And if you were on Hackbrass by decision at plus 375, if you were on the Hackbrass money line, I mean, big ups. That was a great bet because that was always going to be a close fight. But that 3rd round was how I saw the fight playing out. But I saw that knee finishing him. I saw that head kick finishing him, And Esteban Ribovics might be my favorite fighter in the UFC right now. He landed 140 significant strikes, Brady. He attempted more than 400. Now, this is a guy who is averaging 20.5 distance strike attempts per minute. And in that fight, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was averaging something like 26 distance strikes per minute because there was actually some control time in that fight. I love watching him fight. But I had 1 unit on Esteban Ribovics to win inside the distance, lost on that. I had 1 unit on Ricardo Ramos's money line. I got him at plus 380, beat a ton of line movement, and I thought that there was some finish upside there. So what I probably should have done was bet the finish only prop, but I didn't do that, and that cost me a unit. And then I had 1.5 units on Charles Johnson's money line. Got him at plus 118. Got a good price on it. I thought that Charles would be able to, mix up the game plan, use his conditioning, use his wrestling, and beat him on output as well. But no luck there. This guy, and you know what? I'm going to call it right now. I'm officially retiring from betting Charles Johnson fights, betting on him or against him. I'm sick of this dude. I can't stand this fucking guy. Yeah. He fucking throws away fights that he should be winning all the goddamn time. This guy lost to fucking Zhalgas Zhumagulov, but somehow got the decision. He goes out there and he knocks out Josh Van. And I'm just going to call that the biggest fucking fluke of 2024. The biggest fucking fluke was Charles Johnson knocking out Josh Van. That could happen. That fight could happen 100 more times and it would never once happen again. That I'm throwing that fight out. I'm erasing it from my hard drive and I'm pretending that it didn't fucking happen. So, yeah, no more Charles Johnson. I am the worst MMA capper in the world at picking Charles Johnson fights. And I think I may not even pick them. I'm just going to pretend like he doesn't exist anymore because it's just going to be a lower pick percentage for me at the end of the year. Every time Charles Johnson fights, he's going to fuck up a fight he should win. And then he's going to beat somebody he had no business beating. So, Manel Kape's ability to finish fights with eye pokes is elite. Yes. And I think he can win a belt doing it. But, you know, we got to be real clear. Bruno Silva had no chance to beat Manel Kape, and Asu Almabayev had no chance to beat Manel Kape last night. I just want to see him finish a fight clean. You know, good jump knee and elbow, something like that without him having to poke somebody in the eye or rake their eyes over and over again. And then call it a great finish. It wasn't a great finish. You battered the dude's eyeballs, you know, with your fingers, and that's how you got the finish. So I just want to see him clean it up a little bit more because, like we were talking, Brady, this guy's by far the most talented fighter, not just in the flyweight division, but he might be one of the 5 most talented guys in any division in the entire UFC. He's so fucking fast. He's got great power. He's got phenomenal Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So I want to see Manel put it all together. You know, I want to see him get that great finish. And I can't wait to see him fight Pantoja for the title because, you know, Manel deserves a title shot, but I just want to see him do it a little bit cleaner. Big shout out, Cody Brundage. Great comeback. Both guys' mouthpieces were out. A referee's job is fighter safety. And when these guys are standing in front of each other throwing bombs and neither one of them has mouthpieces, you got to wait for there to be a 1-second break, and then you stop. You give them both back their mouthpieces. You let them fight. And Brundage came back from the dead there and got a knockout. And it was really cool to see him get that win. Big shout out. Emil and Gomez. Phenomenal fight there. I'm a huge Hyder Emil fan. Big shout out Sam Patterson. The grappler knocks out the striker. Didn't see it coming, but that was a great fight too. And then Mario Pinto's knockout was wow. Mariscal's performance, phenomenal. So it was I missed the first 3 fights of the night, but then I got to watch the Mariscal fight, the Pinto fight, the Patterson fight, Emil Haqparast, the co-main, the main. It was a good card. But we've talked about it so many times before on Stat Diggers, Brady. Bad decisions in the barber's chair, bad decisions in life.
Yeah.
3 ass haircuts, go out there and get beat. The Skullet, one of the worst haircuts that you could possibly have as a grown man, goes out there and loses a volume-based decision to Ramazan Tamarov. The Rat Tail, Brady. The Rat Tail on Danny Barlow goes out there and gets knocked out by a grappler. Gets knocked out. That got knocked out by a dude from Israel. You know, Sam Patterson got knocked out by a Jew from Israel, and then now he's out here going out there and knocking out left hand to God Danny Barlow. Are you kidding me? You know, and then we got that ratty ass dreads that Austin Lane had there bouncing off the canvas. So let that be a lesson to you guys. You think you're going to go out there with some bullshit haircut and get wins in this organization. This is an organization of professionals. Cody Brundage, there's a haircut you could set your watch to. What did he do? You know, Manel Kape's hair looking pretty good. Sam Patterson haircut.
I don't know, man. I wasn't digging Kape's haircut.
Did he do something different?
It looked like he kind of, I don't know. It was a weird. I haven't seen anything like. I don't know how to explain what his haircut looked like last night. Just a little. It was different. Okay, well,
Hyder Emil's got a haircut you could set your watch to.
Yeah,
Sam Patterson, great haircut. So I think it's something we got to pay a little bit more attention to going forward, Brady.
Aldrich has a good haircut as well. She did good.
Yeah, she does. She does. And she went out there and it was clinical and won some minutes. Was that fight close though?
No.
Okay.
No. Lee looked pretty bad.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's 9 of her last 11 fights Andrea Lee's lost. 9 of her last 11, dude. She's 2-9.
I like this idea. DFS by the I'm going to start breaking down haircuts. Like, pull up a picture. Yeah, this rat tail. Oh, God. It's got to go, man. Dyeing it different colors and shit. Oh, I don't know. Danny Barlow. I don't know what he was doing. He was pulling it off. I thought Barlow was kind of pulling it off. I kind of was digging it. But after that performance, I think it's time to cut it off.
I think it might be time, dude. Danny's still young in the game, and the guy's clearly got a lot of athletic gifts and a lot of power. But I was really surprised to see Sam not out there shooting takedowns immediately. And after about 2.5 minutes, Brady, I was like, what the hell is this guy doing? Shoot a takedown. You're going to get knocked out. And then the opposite happens. I couldn't believe it, man.
I couldn't believe it either. I was like, dang. But all right. Dixon called it. Shout out to Dixon, the moderator, calling that. Cashed on Patterson plus 240. Jeez, is Barlow a fraud? I don't think he's a fraud. I think Patterson's the real deal. That was a prospect versus prospect type fight.
Yeah.
And Patterson got it done. I think Barlow will be back. Koppa beating, Koppa cheating. Yeah, Koppa is falling into the cheating category. Got Avery saying had amazing bets and somehow lost. That being said, Poton by KO. Can't wait to talk about that main event there. Gonna have to start calling your show Grave Diggers with these late night starts. I don't mind a late night start.
I don't mind it either, dude. I like it. Your Uncle Wheezy is a night person, and I know you're the same thing, Brady. Maybe not so much now that you got an infant at home, but it's still we're both kind of people that can do good work after midnight.
Yeah, no, I used to be a night owl, but it's hard to be anymore. Having to wake up at 7:30 each day. We got Forrest, our guy Forrest Daniels with the $2 donut. Appreciate you so much, Forrest, sponsoring the show. Saying the best part of UFC Fight Week is deep dives. Yeah, I love going deep. We cover all angles. We cover haircuts. On this card, we'll cover body hair. Some disgusting body hair. And there's nothing wrong with body hair, but when it's all over your belly, and there is something wrong with that. So get some help, Kuniev. We'll talk about you real soon. It is Francis Marshall Fight Week. It sure is. That should be a fun fight. We got Ucelis in the building. Yeah, I'm glad you guys liked the intro, man. I went out and put the graphics together. Got the music on it. So there we go. The Cash Brady's minus 150 is a steal. That is a steal. My mic settings, StreamYard keeps getting me, man. What else we got up in here? Yeah, I agree. It's not my fault. StreamYard's fault, not our fault. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Is it my fault that Charles Johnson lost the fight? No, it's his. He didn't throw any volume in round 2, so not my fault. Man, I don't think anything could have ruined that and that co-main. It was so fun, so exciting. That was a fun co-main event. Sexy Mexi would have cashed. Agreed. And apparently Sexy Mexi is now fighting on this card. Random.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I guess he's fighting Chris Gutierrez. They really wanted to get Chris Gutierrez on this pay-per-view because he's a draw. He's very exciting. So yeah, I guess we got Gutierrez versus Sexy Mexi as well. 12 fights now on UFC 313. We got Jonathan saying, I'm here from the beginning. Let's go. Let's get it, Jonathan. What is up? His hair did it. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Temirov's going to be a problem at featherweight. He could be. I made a lot of money on Temirov in his debut against Vergara. I got the KO 1-2 at like plus 500 just about. Lost money on Johnson against him this time, but yeah, we'll see. He has power. The cardio is a little bit iffy, but he has a lot of power. I'll say that. Jeez, especially early. Right hand of God, Patterson. There we go. Josh is a sponsor. Shout out to Josh sponsoring the show. You know, all you guys are sponsors. All you guys are hanging out and watching. That's sponsoring somewhat, right? Gomi is so bad at fighting. I think he's really good at fighting. I just, typically he doesn't do anything, but I got to give him credit. How many strikes did Gomi land last night? Gomi landed 101 strikes. I don't think he's landed 101 his entire career prior to that. So shout out to Gomi for that. Great performance by him. Hyder, my biggest bet of the night. There you go. Yeah, I had a unit on it. To be honest, I didn't feel great about it because I knew that Gomi was just a lot better than Hyder, but Hyder had that dog and made it close and got the nod. So plus 185, I didn't mind the bet. Pepe in the building. What is good, Pepe? Hyder Emil, future champ. I don't know about that, but I do know he'll be in some fun and exciting fights. I mean, Hyder Emil is one of the most exciting fighters in the division at this point. Rivix got robbed. It was a close fight. You give Rivix round 3, you give Hackbrass round 1, round 2. Round 2 is kind of the swing round there. Let's see. I can't believe Chepe didn't finish round 2. Yeah, it was looking like he could have, but kind of stepped off the gas pedal. A lot of screw that, dude. I was gonna purchase a Skullet Gang t-shirt, had Charles Johnson win. I was gonna get a Skullet. I was gonna go to my barber and say, hey, give me this haircut if Charles Johnson won in round 3. But luckily I don't have to get a Skullet and I don't have to get a Skullet Gang t-shirt. So I guess it's a win-win. I did lose the bet, but I don't have to support just a god-awful movement. Why is that a movement? He should be arrested for that. Skullet Gang, you should go to jail.
Put them all in prison.
Oh my gosh. Rat tails and skullets. Let's cut it out. Let's cut it out. Let's see here. I mean, yeah, Mr. D, good point here. There's no penalties or fouls for cheating at this point, so why wouldn't a fighter do it? You're 110% correct. There's not.
Yeah.
There's not. We saw it in the Song Yadong fight. We saw it in the Manel Kopp fight. And I was certainly biased for the Kopp fight. So I had Kopp big on the money line. My brother had Kopp KO 2-3-4, and then my dad actually called Kopp round 3 KO. We were all watching the fight, and we were all going crazy, but looking at the replay, it was very bad. It was a very bad cheat. Like he wasn't even punching him. He was open hand, like eye poke. It was blatant. So yeah, that was bad. That was
like
bad.
Three Stooges level eye pokes. Dude. That was like Mo on Curly and Larry just abusing their eyeballs.
It was so bad. So bad. I'm surprised the ref didn't do anything about it. Like, did the ref have money on Manel Kopp? Because that was like, how do you not see that at all? I don't.
Yeah, he didn't see it. I mean, dude, it's a hard job, obviously, because sometimes you can't. I would imagine some angles you just don't see correctly. You might have the fighter's back to you or something like that, but and you didn't even see it right away, right? Like you kind of thought it was a pretty clean knockout too. So
yeah, I thought he was being a little pussy and running away. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
watching live,
he was
being a little
running away.
Yeah, but no, he got eye poked, so it was warranted. He was not being a pussy. He was not pulling a Victoria Leonardo. He got eye poked, and it was definitely warranted.
Yeah.
Bahamondes Turner fight of the night. Bahamondes does Turner worse than he did Roosevelt Roberts. I don't know if that's on the table because he did poor Roosevelt Roberts, who by the way just got cut again. I think they just cut him for the second time. So, which sucks. I think Roberts is talented, but just didn't really seem to get it put together in the UFC. We got to start calling the show Piping After Dark. I think we'd get demonetized if we do that. We got Muhammad. I'm Ard Bruce Lee with the $9.99 saying a beer on me. Long live Stat Diggers. Well, appreciate the dono so much, Muhammad, but it all depends where you go to get the beer. I was at a Cavs game today, and me and my wife got we each wanted a Corona. It was like $38. I kid you not. It was $38 it was just a pint. We each got a pint of Corona, $38. So yeah, I mean, if I go to the local bar, be able to definitely get a beer. But if you're going to like a Cavs game or even like the UFC fights, you will not be able to get a beer for $10. So But yeah, appreciate Muhammad. We do appreciate that a lot. We got Victor in the building. What is up?
Vic, time to see Vic.
Heck yeah. When was it? Yeah, I know. When it was just announced like 2 hours ago. It's annoying, but I'm glad they at least announced it on a Sunday rather than a Wednesday after I do all my content. Yep, 12 fights. Joshua Van's going to be laying the pipe this week. Yeah, I think somebody could potentially get piped in that Van fight.
Yeah.
Andy, I don't think laying the pipe means what you think it does. We got Wuzzler 39. Shout out to Wuzzler 39 with the 199 helping sponsor the show. Arrested by Officer Trevin Giles. Oh, by the way, Weezy, did Kerry Hatley get arrested yet for the Bobby Green Jalen Turner fight? Did they arrest him yet? Charge him with murder? They haven't.
I think he's got a really good lawyer. Okay. You know, I think he's got a really good lawyer because he's been reffing fights. I've seen him in there reffing fights. Like Vyacheslav Fiziev is in a gulag somewhere right now in Siberia, and this guy Kerry Hatley's walking free. You know. There was a fighter last week who just got out of prison for the last ass beating that he handed out. Oh. I think it was Chepe. Poor Chepe.
Oh,
he was only out of prison for like 3 weeks, and then he did that to Ramos because they put him away for what he did to Damon Jackson. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, I mean that was bad. Has Damon Jackson recovered yet? Is he out of the hospital after that whooping he took?
I think he might still be eating all of his meals out of a straw. That was a bad beating, dude. I mean, and then Herzog. Was that Herzog that let that go?
You're damn right it was.
It was so bad.
I hate it, dude.
Who was in there again? Herzog was out there.
Yeah.
Off the Snuff Film Festival once again.
You could tell if your bet's done. Like I had a violence bet in the the Chepe fight. I had a violence bet in the Chepe fight. I had a violence bet in another fight. You can tell like it's going
the
to
Ribovic's fight too. Yeah.
He was in the Ribovic's fight.
Oh no, I thought you said you had a violence bet last week. That's what I was talking about. Oh, my bad.
Anytime you see Jason Herzog in there, you know it's going to decision. Unless like you have to really finish your opponent. Like sometimes you have to finish them several times for Herzog to stop the fight. Zhang Wei Li finished Yan Xiaonan twice, and the fight still wasn't stopped. Herzog actually woke up Yan Xiaonan and actually carried her to the corner. I've never seen anything like that. I'm not sure if that's in the rules or not, and I don't think that's talked about enough. Like, how are you about to wake up Yan Xiaonan, make sure she's okay, and then pick her up and then carry her to the? I don't get it. But it is what it is. Liquid plastic bottles and caps. Stuff down your pants in your girl. I don't need to drink that bad. I don't need to drink that bad. At that point, I would just rather just not drink. That sounds like just do it a lot.
The big trench coat, you know.
Much a bottle. Oh, jeez. R.I.P. Alex Freer. I don't know about that. Brady, my Portland. Yeah, I was like, what's going on, man? Cavs were down 18, but luckily they came back and got it done. $10 beer should be illegal. Try $20 beer. That should be illegal. All right, we're going to get into it here very shortly. All right, guys, if you guys could, please do us a favor. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We go live every Sunday. What time, you ask? Well, it's up for debate. I don't know. We usually go live at 7:15, but I'm kind of been digging the late start time, so we'll kind of talk about it. But yeah, let's get the likes up. Try to pipe up that like button, just like poor Austin Lane got piped up last night. Was looking good until he wasn't, and hopefully Austin Lane's okay and recovers because that was one brutal knockout. So pipe it up, just like Austin Lane got piped. Absolutely on site by Mario Pinto, the newcomer. All right, Weezy. I say we get into UFC 312. Do you want to just quickly brush on the Gutierrez Castaneda,
sure,
just so we can say, hey, we talked about it?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I swear to God, I didn't even know that this fight was happening when we went live for the show. So you told me right before we went live, like, did you get the Gutierrez fight? I'm like, what? So but you know, we could talk about it. I could bring up the stats from his last fight.
We'll brush on it. We'll brush on it. So yeah, Gutierrez. Who is Gutierrez supposed to fight?
So he was supposed to fight last week against, or no, he was. Yeah, I forgot. I got it here. He was supposed to fight Gene Matsumoto, and Matsumoto got rebooked to fight Font after somebody dropped out of the Font fight, I think. So I guess they've been looking for an opponent for Chris, and they got Castaneda in there, who got screwed out of his fight because of Douglas Silva Andrade. So what I don't like about this for Castaneda is this dude cut weight on Friday. Now this fight's at bantamweight, and John Castaneda has never been known for having great weight cuts or being the guy that you would just, say, oh, this guy's a professional. He's going to make weight. He's not that guy. And 2 weight cuts in a 7-day period is not something that you want to be backing out there. Gutierrez, probably a better kickboxer than Castaneda just because he can manage range so well with his kicking attacks. Castaneda being a southpaw, I think, could potentially help him out here because that straight left hand of his is really nice. And he's got power too, man. Castaneda has some good kicks. Castaneda has some good knees. And if he can get his pressure going, Brady, I think that's what you really need to do against somebody like Gutierrez is get him on his back foot, because you don't want to stand in front of this guy. If he can mix in some grappling, if he has a good weight cut, and if he can get Gutierrez on the back foot, I think maybe he could have some success here. But Chris is definitely the higher level fighter, probably a little bit better strength of schedule over the course of his career. He's had a number next to his name before in this division. So, and it is short notice for both guys. So that brings a little extra variance. These guys didn't know that they were fighting each other. Castaneda was fighting for like a lower volume power striker in Douglas Silva de Andrade. Now he's fighting more of a point fighting kickboxer that throws to the legs a lot. So it's going to be a strange situation because I think Gutierrez is getting a very similar opponent in Castaneda to who he was supposed to fight in Matsumoto here. So I think that this is going to be probably Gutierrez by decision, but we obviously have to look more into this.
Yeah. I mean, I think they could have been fine not putting Chris Gutierrez on the card. I don't know. He kind of falls into like the William Gomez category for me these days, where I think he's so good. It's just, I don't know. Like his fights haven't been that exciting. Like he got an absolute layup against Kwang Lee, the dude that got knocked out by Long Zhao. And you take that guy to decision. Like, how are you taking Kwang Lee to decision? Like, you're supposed to be, a top 20 fighter in the division. How are you taking Kwang Lee to a decision? How are you losing a round? This dude lost a round to Kwang Lee. So I think he has a lot of skills, but I don't know. So this is at 145, so that's good.
Oh, it is at 145. Yeah. They got it listed at 135 on Tapology. That's why I thought that could be. Yeah, 145 makes so much more sense.
Yeah, it absolutely.
There's no way Castaneda is going to make 135. And let me ask you this: was the Douglas Silva de Andrade fight? Were they going to move that to 140?
Yeah, I think they had it at 140. I think Douglas Silva was kind of struggling, and then they tried to move it up, and then he ended up pulling out, I think.
Okay, all right. So yeah, if it's 145, I think that's a lot better for John Castaneda, because to ask this guy to make 2 weight cuts in a 7-day period and have a new opponent that's going to be a different type of stylistic matchup, that's a lot of shit on your plate that you got to digest before you get in the cage. And I think if this is at 145, that's a lot better for John.
Yeah, and split, I can see it. I can see a gross split as well. Gutierrez is a fraud. I don't think he's a fraud. I think he's
a great
good.
Kickboxer. He's a really good kickboxer.
The leg kicks are great. Hands are okay. Takedown defense, get up game, it's solid. I think he's solid. I think he's a solid fighter. His last loss was by sub. Who?
I'm not sure. I don't have my stats up. So.
Ling games. Fun fact: Kwang Lee is Sexy Mexi's main sparring partner.
Seriously, he's a Minnesota fighter, Kwang Lee.
Thought that
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. Shout out to Hugh Walnuts. There we go. Gutierrez probably my lean. Yeah, we'll see. I got to look into this one, but this will be the last fight I look into more than likely. All right, let's move on to the next fight, and we're going to start with Djorden Santos going against Ozzy Diaz. We got Djorden Santos, 27 years old, 6 foot with a 75-inch reach. Ozzy Diaz, 34 years old, 6'4" with a 79-inch reach. Djorden Santos is 7 years younger. Ozzy Diaz has a 4-inch height advantage and a 4-inch reach advantage. Djorden Santos, 5-0 in his last 5 fights, had a Contender Series win against Will Curry. And as far as Ozzy Diaz, he is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. He had a knockout loss to Joe Pyfer on the Contender Series. He had a couple good wins outside the UFC. Had a knockout win against Bavon Lewis, and then he had a knockout loss to Zhang Mingyang in his UFC debut. So, yeah, this is an interesting fight here because I remember, taping Djorden Santos versus Will Curry, and there was no tape on this guy whatsoever, right? There was, I think, maybe one or maybe two fights available on Djorden Santos, and the fights that were available were like from a couple years ago. And this is a guy that's only 27 years old. So at the time, I was watching these fights. He's probably 24, 25. And yeah, I mean, I think he looked solid, but I kind of really liked Will Curry, who's a Cage Warriors guy. Will Curry's a very experienced fighter and a good fighter. I really thought Will Curry would go out there and win the fight, and the odds makers thought so as well because Will Curry was like minus 500 in that fight. But it turns out Djorden Santos has just completely leveled up from the previous tape to that Will Curry fight. And that's kind of to be expected with like a young guy. And he's training at a good gym. I believe he trains with the Bonfim brothers. And yeah, Santos looked really good. The volume was good. The cardio was good. The takedown defense was good. The get-up game was good. And he ended up going out there. I think he 30-27 Will Curry, which that was a very impressive performance. So now he's going out there against Ozzy Diaz, who, I don't know, is 34 years old. I'm just not sure what Ozzy Diaz is that great at. I think he's a guy that kind of pulls a Homer Simpson in a lot of his fights. A lot of his fights I've watched, it's like he's getting hurt early. He's getting beat up bad early. His opponents gas out. His opponents slow down. And then he finds a finish, later in the fight. That's kind of how a lot of his fights go. He's been knocked out in all 3 of his losses, so I'm not sure he has the best durability. But yeah, I think this it's a fun fight. It's definitely a lower level fight, but I think it's going to kind of be a slugfest. I don't know. I was really impressed with Djorden Santos in his Contender Series fight against a guy in Will Curry, who I think is probably better than Ozzy Diaz. So I'm leaning with Djorden Santos. I still feel like we don't know a ton about him. There's still not a ton of footage available of him, but from what I've seen, I've been impressed with this guy. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight here?
Yeah, it's interesting that he's moving back down to 185 here because we've seen Ozzy Diaz mostly up at 205 recently, but he started off his career at middleweight, and that's where he had a lot of success until he got knocked out by Joe Pyfer on the Contender Series in 2022. Then he moved back up to 205 to fight Chuck Campbell and Bavon Lewis, and then also Min Yang Zhang. So now he's moving back down to 185. Probably a better weight class for him, but maybe not, because every time you move down, you're going to see more athleticism, a little bit more speed, maybe a little bit less power. But a guy like Diaz, like you said, he's really a moment winner. He can lose moments as well. He's kind of a guy who has a knack for finding moments, and those type of fighters, Brady, I think you'll agree, they will be a little bit lackluster. They don't have urgency, and because they trust that ability to find that one big shot in the pocket, and Diaz can do that. But like you said, dude, Jordan, I've watched Will Curry fight so many times. I mean, I think he fought Christian Leroy Duncan twice. Will Curry fought on Cage Warriors against some of the best competition in Europe on the regional scene. So he was a really well-tested guy with a much better resume. Like, you go and you research that Santos Curry fight, you would have found like over an hour of footage easily on Curry, while you could barely find anything on Santos. So some of these guys that there's no footage on, they're completely fraudulent. Other times, it's just because they haven't fought in a while and they've leveled up. Like, I remember when Melissa Gatto got into the UFC and you saw the tape on her and you were like, oh, God, this doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And Natalia Silva, the exact same thing. She hadn't fought in like 2.5 years. The tape on her wasn't good. And then she comes in and levels up. And that can happen with some of these Brazilian fighters. So I think I like Santos here. He's coming off the best win of his career by far. And Ozzy Diaz is a guy that you don't have to worry about losing the minutes to this guy. He's not going to take you down. He's not going to grind you out. He's not going to out-volume you. He's going to look to land that one big shot, and he's probably going to lose minutes up until he does. But I kind of found it interesting, Brady, that the under 2.5 sitting around -140 for this fight, Ozzy Diaz has never seen the scorecards.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting as well. I think the reason that is because Santos probably went to decision in his last fight, but Santos
last 3 fights, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So 3-fight decision streak for Santos, but this guy, Ozzy Diaz, has never even seen a third round. So I think that's kind of interesting. This was a fight that I was expecting to see the total at 1.5, but it's at 2.5, and it's not terribly juiced. So I want to look further into this and see if there's any value in that violence prop, but that kind of caught my eye when I saw it.
Yeah, I don't hate that. And Will Curry, like, he was piecing up Curry. It looked like he was maybe on his way to finishing Curry, and I think it was the second round, but ultimately did take him to decision. But yeah, Ozzy Diaz, very hittable, questionable chin, could potentially see a finish. And I think if Ozzy Diaz is winning, it is going to be a finish. I don't see a world where Ozzy Diaz wins at a decision here, especially against Santos, who's just very high volume and good cardio. So I like the newcomer here. Oh my gosh, he opened up at +130. That didn't last long at all. He's now -180. And as far as Diaz opened up -150, currently +155. I think this fight's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be a slugfest. And also, I don't hate the under. What are you guys liking for this fight in the chat? Yeah, so there is a new bout order. I swear they've changed it up 3 times already, and it's only Sunday. And so they'll probably change it more and more. We'll talk about the Van fight very shortly here. Found out today I'm having a baby. Congratulations to Evan. Evan's having a baby. My parents aren't too happy, but me and my stepsister are.
Why aren't your parents happy?
What? Can't wait for.
Why aren't your parents happy, dude? That's kind of weird. Like, my parents were always like, when are you going to give me grandchildren? And I'm like, when you pay for them and take care of them, because I'm too lazy for that. So, but congratulations. I mean, that's phenomenal news.
I think he might be alluding to he's having a baby with his stepsister.
Oh, dear God. No.
Unless I'm reading it completely wrong, which if I am, I apologize.
What is he doing? Come on.
Am I off here? Am I reading this wrong?
I think you might be. I think I didn't get the joke, and then you got it, and you had to explain it to me, and now I'm laughing, and I feel like an asshole.
Oh boy. Well, hopefully he's joking. Gosh. Oh my gosh. I agree. That is not good. That is not good. They don't. That is not good at all. So Alexander played the under. Diaz's do or die. I don't hate it. He doubled down on it. So there's confirmation right there.
Thanks for doubling down, Evan. Appreciate you, brother.
I don't know who needs more help. Charles Johnson with that stupid ass haircut, or Evan in the chat impregnating his steps. I don't know. That's bad. That's not good, dude.
Oh God, I gotta retire from doing content. I can't believe I actually took that seriously. My God.
It's late. It is late. So
this is how you wind up betting on Charles Johnson when you're old like me and your brain just starts to go. All the weed over the years, Brady, all the partying, all this 7.5-year college career. When I was 18, never studying, staring at the backs of chicks' asses, trying to get laid constantly partying. And now I'm betting on Charles Johnson to win fights, and it's all falling apart like a Chinese motorcycle. I need help.
I think we all need a little bit of help, especially Evan. Weezy was so concerned about why the parents weren't supporting. Ryan doesn't hate it. Ryan doesn't hate it. There we go. Oh boy. Oh boy.
I just watched this Bruce Buffer. Bruce Buffer can't pronounce a name to save his life. He's so right. He's so right.
I knew to fade Charles Johnson when his song whispered energy 5 times. I didn't hear that, but if I did, I would have cashed out of my bet. Is that true? His song played and it was like energy.
Oh, I hope not. Please tell me. Yeah, like he's gonna release a rap album. It's coming next.
It's gonna
you
be
know
called,
it, dude.
Like the Skullet.
Oh,
the Skullet album. Oh gosh, get some help. Get some help, Evan. For the love of God. For the love of God, get some help. All right, moving on to the next fight. We have Marion Santos going against Francis Marshall. We got Santos, 24 years old, 5'9" with a 72-inch reach. Francis Marshall, 26 years old, 5'9" with a 72-inch reach. We have Santos, 2 years younger, same height, same reach. Santos, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He got a brutal knockout win against Conor Offley in his debut in the second round. As far as Francis Marshall, he is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Had a decision win against Connor Matthews on the Contender Series, one of the biggest beatdowns I think I've ever seen in a DWCS history. A knockout win against Marcelo Rojo in the second round. A split decision against William split decision Gomi loss, and then a knockout loss to Isaac Dalgarian, and then a decision win against Dennis Bazookia. So a lot of hype. There's a lot of hype that is on Marion Santos. A lot of people think this guy is the real deal. A lot of people think this guy is the next big thing. And the line is certainly reflecting that because he's a big favorite. He was minus 380. He's now minus 350, but a big favorite nonetheless. And for me, I'm not completely. Am I still on?
Yeah. You're good.
Okay. All right. I'm not completely sold on Marion Santos yet. I feel like there is some upside, but I'm kind of want to pump the brakes a little bit. I do want to see him, test it a little bit more. I thought that Conor Offley came in there with the worst game plan possible. I mean, Conor Offley didn't really even try to take down Santos. He kind of just struck with him and looked silly in there and got knocked out. But I have seen Santos taken down, got taken down in his tough fight, been taken down in some other fights as well. And Marshall probably will try to take down Santos, but on the feet, you got to absolutely favor Santos. I think he's the much better striker. Marshall's not a terrible striker by any means, but he is hittable. So Santos should be doing the better work on the feet. But Marshall, he does have a path to victory here, Weezy, and he is a pretty big dog. But I do think Santos is improving that area in his game in terms of the takedown defense, the get-up game, or at least I'd hope so, especially if I'm laying minus 350, which I'm not. But in terms of a pick, I do lean his way. I just feel like this could end up playing a little bit closer than the line does indicate. I don't think he's going to go out there and spark Marshall because Marshall's super tough, and I think he's better than Conor Offley. I think this could look, competitive where Marshall is landing some takedowns. Santos is getting back up, and then Santos is just doing the better work on the feet. So I like Santos to win, but I'm not sure I like this money line at minus 350. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, the Santos kid looked really good on in the tough house and had a really tough weight cut for his second fight. But it's because a lot of these guys in the house are actually bantamweights if they're fighting at featherweight because they know they're going to have to make 2 weight cuts in like a 2 to 3 week period to get to that second fight to potentially get to the finals where they get a little bit of time off. So Santos is a guy that's still only 24 years old. So when I see 24-year-olds having tough weight cuts, it bothers me a little bit because it's not going to get any easier when they're 25, 26, 27, and they're continuing to put muscle on their frames. So I want to see how the weight cut goes for Santos. And yeah, there's a couple of things here. Santos looks like he's going to be the much more dangerous guy at range. I think most people would agree on that. And you look at Francis Marshall, I know that he fought guys that are difficult to deal with defensively, like Isaac Dalgarian and William Gomi. But this guy couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat, Brady. Have you ever seen 23.6% distance striking accuracy?
Yeah, who was that one chick? Was it Yanan Wu or somebody? There was that one chick that had like a 20%, just terrible.
I don't remember who it was, but yeah, it would have been a female fighter for sure. You know, and yeah, so Marshall, that poor accuracy and only 55% distance striking defense is below average as well. But Francis has done a pretty good job of mixing in some wrestling and showing a well-rounded skill set. And Francis is only 26 years old. I believe that Francis in about 46 minutes, Brady, in your part of the world, is going to be turning 26 years old. So happy birthday, Francis Marshall, here in a few hours. Oh, wow. And it's kind of a shitty birthday present to have to get in the cage with this Mairon Santos kid, because he looks like a killer to me, man. He's a lot more experienced than Francis, even though they've been fighting about the same amount of time. He's got 5 more professional fights, about 50 more minutes of cage time. And he's winning minutes and moments with his striking. And the takedown defense is looking pretty good. So, I think he should win this fight. But minus 350 for a 24-year-old fighter, that's only had one UFC fight, and it was against Con Offley. We've seen Marshall out there against Connor Matthews, Marcelo Rojo, Gomi, Djordjen's an absolute killer, Dennis Bazukia. So he's had a better level of competition recently, and Mairon Santos's only loss came against Dan Argueta due to ground and pound. So if you can get this guy down, if you can get on top, that's the way to win minutes against him. And we've seen Francis Marshall do that, averaging 1.5 takedowns per 15 minutes. And he's controlled his opponents over a 41-minute sample size of UFC octagon time for over 30% of his cage time. So there is a way for Marshall here to have some success. He can limit the offensive success on the feet, mix in some takedowns, and if he could find some control time, perhaps he could make this close and make Mairon a little bit uncomfortable. And if Mairon does have another tough weight cut, maybe he slows down in the second half of the fight, and Francis can take advantage of that like he did in the William Gomi fight.
Yeah, no, I think there is a path here. Has Marshall been knocked out? Yeah, he has by Djorden, but
yeah, that's a different kind of knockout. Yeah, it's not like you're getting starched on the feet. You're just getting drowned on the mat by Isaac.
But I do think he's tough. I don't mind the over here at minus 150 for the over 2.5. I know that, Santos finished Con Offley, but I mean, come on, right? I think Marshall can kind of hang in there, and I think he can mix in some takedowns, and I think he can take some time off that clock. And if Herzog's in there, especially, like, I could see an over here. Oh, Marshall's gonna get milked. We should do a stat diggers milking of the week. Who's gonna get milked? We talk about getting piped, but who's getting milked? I think it could be Kuniev. I think Kuniev could get milked. You think Blaydes will milk Kuniev this week, Weezy?
I think it's a definite possibility,
dude. You know who's gonna get milked? Alex Morono is going to get milked.
I think he is, dude.
He's going to get milked. They should change Carlos Leal's nickname to the Milkman after what he's about to do to Alex Morono. I can definitely see it. So I think that's going to be a new thing. The Stat Diggers milking of the week. Tune in to see who's going to get milked this Saturday. Love it.
And if you're going to pick somebody to get milked, it might as well be somebody with a milky white complexion like Alex Morono.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, if anybody's getting milked, it's Alex Morono. I mean, that's just, it's simple as that. Have no fear. Fire Marshal is here. So Dixon's calling Santos a cheater. So he was hanging his foot off the scales during. I think I do remember seeing that. You
got to love those veteran moves, man, out of a rookie fighter. That's sharp. Dude, this kid's only 24 and he's pulling veteran cheating moves like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on, man. Manel Kape's about to be champion of the division here. If with one more eye poke knockout, he can make it 3 in a row. If I were Pantoja, I'd be wearing goggles in that cage.
Agreed. I think Marshall will try to take Santos down, but he's not dominant enough to do what a guy like Argueta did. I would tend to agree there. And I do think that Santos has probably improved a lot since that Argueta fight and since being in the tough house. Let's see, Marshall improving as well. First full camp at ATT now after being there for 15 months. So yeah, training at a good gym and American Top Team. That's good.
Yeah, that's plus EV.
We got Dravi in the building. What's up, boys? Fun card and a lot of money to be made. I hope so, man. Should be a very fun card. Looking forward to it. I don't think
Shout out Dravi. He crushed it last week, dude.
Did he? What did he have? Did he? I saw he had a Patterson.
Yeah, he called a lot of fights, right, man? He made a lot of units. Big week for our guy Dravi.
There you go. Shout out Dravi. Let's see. Might chuck a 10 on Francis. Decision sounds good too. I think like the over's not I think it could be. I think it could be scrappy. I think it could be scrappy. Pepe mentioned that the ATT. Yeah, I think that's a good look. Definitely. Piped then milked. There we go. What? Morono's due. He is due for a milking. He is absolutely. Sometimes you can look at a guy and be like, "Hey, that guy is due for a milking." Absolutely,
a good old fashioned milking.
And I agree with Ryan here. Cheaters are plus EV unless your name is Priscilla Cachoeira. Then it doesn't really seem to matter. She can cheat all she wants. She's still looking terrible in there.
And we don't want to ruin anything with any spoilers. But next week on one of the most ass cards of the year, Brady, we're going to kick it off with Josiane Nunez, the very handsome Josiane Nunez versus the very, very handsome Priscilla Cachoeira. Maybe one of the most handsome fights of 2025 going to be kicking off this trash bag of a card that we got coming up next week.
Maybe I should play my my top 5 handsome fighters video live on air. Maybe I should do that,
dude. I think you should.
I'll see if I can find a way to set that up. Speaking of handsome, some jerk tagged me in a Jessica Andrade picture, but that said jerk, he did cover up Andrade with a big giant rose. So it wasn't as bad as you'd think it would be, but it's still bad. Here, I can show the face. That's the face she's making. I can show that. I can't show anything else. But that's the face she's making. The stuff I get tagged in, man, it's not good. Marshall point spread for me here. Dixon liking the Marshall point spread. I don't hate that. Maybe win around with the wrestling. Nunez by KO, easy money. I think somebody's probably getting served in that. It's going to be an awesome fight. Sorry, we lost half our viewer. We went from 450 viewers to 250. We just lost half our viewership. Just pulling up a photo of Jessica Andrade. My bad, guys. My bad. All right, let's move on. I do apologize. Moving on to the next fight. Speaking of getting milked, we have Carlos Leal going against Alex Morono. We have Alex Morono, 34 years old, 5'11", with a 72-inch reach. Carlos Leal, 30 years old, 5'11" with a 72-inch reach. We got Leal, 4 years younger, same height, same reach. Morono, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Submission win against Tim Means, and a decision loss against Joaquin Buckley, decision win against Court McGee, decision loss against Nico Price, and then a decision loss against Daniel Rodriguez. As far as Carlos Leal, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, made his debut, I believe, on short notice against Rinat Fakhretdinov as a very big underdog, and he went out there and won the fight. That decision last year, that had to have been, I think, the worst decision of the entire year. Last year was Rinat Fakhretdinov beating Carlos Leal. You know, if I had to pick the worst decision, that might be it. And there were a lot of bad decisions last year, but that really might be it. So what we're getting now is, since Leal, beat Rinat Fakhretdinov, we're getting Leal as a -700 favorite against Alex Morono. And I think a lot of that has to do with a couple things. Carlos Leal is very good. I went and watched his fights outside of the Rinat fight, and I was really impressed. The takedown defense is very good. The get-up game is very good. He can even mix in takedowns in his own right. But what I like about Leal the most is he just comes forward the entire fight. He throws very hard. He doesn't care if you hit him. We saw that in the Renat fight. Doesn't care if you hit him. He has an incredible chin. And I think that's going to play to his advantage here because he's not going to care if Alex Morono hits him. He's just going to come forward and he's going to try to take his head off. I was really impressed with what I saw with Leal, not only in the Renat fight, but even outside of the Renat fight. So yeah, Leal, who's only 30 years old, in his prime, going against Alex Morono, who he just looked bad, man. He's just looked very, very bad lately. The Joaquin Buckley fight, he looked very bad. The Nico Price fight, the worst he's looked his entire career. He looked very bad. The Daniel Rodriguez fight, both guys looked bad, but he looked very bad. So I think we're seeing a declining Alex Morono. I think we have been seeing a declining Alex Morono for a while now. And it's weird. Sometimes he shows up and he looks in good shape. And sometimes he shows up and he looks like he didn't even train for the fight. So, but yeah, Leal's minus 700. So there's not going to be a ton sticking out here, but I think Leal gets it done. And I think this could be the inaugural milking of the week. I think Morono could potentially get milked here. I think there could be some milk on the octagon ground at the end of the fight. So, yeah, I think he gets milked here. I like Leal here and probably even by finish. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
I mean, I think Leal's going to milk the shit out of this guy, but it's minus 700. That's disrespectful. I mean,
it is.
Alex Morono has 22 UFC fights. He's 13-8 in the organization. And I know he hasn't looked great lately, but you got to remember, one thing you got to remember about Alex is he takes a ton of short notice fights.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, this is not a guy who's like, looks like he's carved out of marble in the first place. So he's always been more of a scrapper. He's never been a guy that's going to go out there and blow you out of the water. He doesn't have explosive power. He's clearly not somebody that's on a ton of steroids. He's a scrapper. This dude loves to fight. He's fought 22 times in the UFC. He's very, very active. 36 professional fights in a 14-year career. So this guy never seems to take off long periods of time from injuries. He's ready to go. So he's only 34 years old. So it's not like this guy's career is over or that he's washed or anything like that. But the problem is the last two wins are against Tim Means and Court McGee, who are both very old and washed. And even Court McGee went out there and just shaved Tim Means' ass when they fought. So it's hard to know what the level is because Alex is fighting these guys like Means and Buckley and McGee and Price and Rodriguez. And say what you want about all of those guys. Those guys are all UFC veterans. And Buckley's fighting at a very high level right now. And there's really not a lot that Means and McGee and Price and Rodriguez have not seen at this level. And all of those guys have winning records at maybe not McGee right now, but these guys have got winning records at the UFC level. So we just got to be a little bit careful, obviously, betting minus 700s here and just betting minus 700s for a guy coming off a loss. Carlos Leal is 7-5 to the decision. So this is not a guy for some reason that's getting a lot of respect from the judges when it goes to the scorecards. But I agree with everything that you said about this guy. I remember watching him before he fought Fakhretdinov. And I remember I was going to put a big bet on Fakhretdinov because I didn't think his money line was juiced enough. But I watched the tape on Leal and I was like, no way. Not after he fought close with Nick Dalby. Am I laying minus 150 on Fakhretdinov? So I picked Fakhretdinov to win, but I thought that Rinat Fakhretdinov in your UFC debut was a super tall order. But man, did Carlos Leal handle it with class? Really impressive performance that he's coming off of. And Alex Morono is definitely a guy where the career trajectory, Brady, it's starting to look kind of bad. So I see why Leal is a big favorite here, but overrating someone coming off a loss can be a tricky thing when it comes to MMA. And we've seen it over and over again that sometimes these guys do disappoint when in their second performance, when they had a good performance that didn't go their way in their debut. So, yeah, I don't know if I think the value is going to be on the Morono side, but it might be really hard to get there, dude. Right. I mean, it's just, he's going to have to really look a lot better than he has in his last 3 or 4 fights in order to have any chance of hanging in there with Carlos Leal, who looks like he's in his prime right now. And this guy's got 26 professional fights, and he's got 20 wins, and he's fought at a very high level in PFL before coming here. So, yeah, Carlos Leal.
Yeah, I mean, if the line was based off of physique, I think minus 700 would be very fair. I mean, that's crazy, man.
Damn, look at all that acne.
Looks fake. He's clearly on all the steroids. Clearly.
Yeah, clearly.
But here's my prediction. I think the fight's going to start. I think Leal's going to take down Morono. I think he's going to put Morono on all fours, hands and knees. I think he's going to bring out a pail, and I think he's going to start milking him. I think he's going to start milking him until there's no milk left. Herzog steps in. He's forced to step in. There's no more milk left. Herzog steps in, grabs a glass, and drinks it. Fight over. The first milking in UFC history.
Poor Morono.
I could see it, dude.
It could happen. It could happen. Yeah.
Bring the pail. So what is the total? So the over-under is set at 1.5. The over 1.5 is minus 200. The under 1.5 is plus 160. Kind of feels like it should have been set at 2.5, but yeah, over 1.5 makes some sense. I could definitely see this going over. I do think Morono could definitely be somewhat competitive early, but if he shows up looking like he did in the Nico Price fight, he's getting served. I mean, that was just a terrible look. Gassed out in like 3 minutes. It was awful. Big cage. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Morono's going to be running like Asu. Oh. So the reasons these lines grow so much is because the popularity of betting on the sport has grown immensely in the past year. These lines are just going to keep getting out of hand and in the future. And I think they're just getting more sharp. These lines are getting more sharp.
Yeah.
What are you drinking? I am drinking a Melon Burst ice energy drink from Starbucks. Shout out to Starbucks. It's good, man. It's only 10 calories. It's 180 milligrams of caffeine, no sugar, no carbs, and it's expensive. It's like $6.25. Like you don't really want to be paying that every day, but I'll get a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. It's great. Tastes great. Gives you a little bit of energy. I can dig it. Morono's head is coming off. I could take 100 cycles. I don't think I'm looking like Carlos Leal, man. I mean, that's a lot of cycles. Some milk. Get the bucket and the milk. Oh gosh, talking about a cash cow. Potentially, man. Potentially piped and then milked. I don't know. I feel like they're two different things. Like I think it's gonna be hard to get piped and milked. Herzog will be standing there rubbing his hands together while Morono is getting. Herzog will probably help him, man. Herzog will probably help him, dude.
Him and Mark Goddard standing side by side, rubbing their hands together.
Oh boy. Is Morono still doing commentary? Does he do commentary? I know
he does it for Fury FC. He always calls those Fury FC fights because they're almost always fighting out of Texas, and that's where he trains out of.
Oh, watch this fight. I mean, it could. I mean, he can milk him to a decision, right? Like, he can just milk him across 15 minutes, right? Like
he could. Yeah. I mean, like Carlos has got a lot of wins by decision in his career.
Yeah, let's take a look.
7 of them, I believe.
7 decisions. Yeah, I could definitely see a decision. Morono's tough, man. He's a tough dude. So let's see. Carlos Leal. There we go. So he knocked out Manuel Mena, knocked out Mauricio Bruno, Taylor knockout, Zawada knockout. It's been a minute, but yeah, he did take Ray Cooper to decision. Chris Brown, the rapper. What is Chris Brown doing in the cage?
Oh, do you see what he did to Rihanna? That was like a 10-7. So I think he's pretty tough.
Whoa, yeah. Took me a second. Yes. Yes, so he does have some decisions. So I could see it. Could be knockout, could be decision, but either way, I think he gets his hand raised. Let's get this guy off the screen. He's scaring away our audience. What's more scary, Jessica Andrade in her pussy or Carlos Leal? I don't know. What would you rather look at, Jessica Andrade naked or Carlos Leal?
Leal.
Really?
Yeah, it's not even. Yeah,
Oh, it's not
Leal.
close.
Leal.
Okay. All right. I think I would. I don't know. All depends on the night, the mood, but both are I think we can all agree. I think we can all agree that both are certainly terrifying. But
Yeah, they are very, very terrifying.
so the first milking of the week goes to Carlos Leal. Moving on to the next fight. Oh boy, this fight's gonna be fun, dude.
Yeah,
This fight's gonna be fun. We have Bruno Ferreira going against Armen Petrosyan. We got Bruno Ferreira, 32 years old, 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. Armen Petrosyan, 34 years old, 6'3" with a 71-inch reach. Bruno Ferreira, 2 years younger. Petrosyan with a 5-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach disadvantage. Bruno Ferreira is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Had a knockout win against Gregory Rodriguez in the first round. Knockout loss to Nursultan Ruziboev in the first round. A knockout win against Phil Hawes in the first round. A knockout win against Dustin Stoltzfus in the first round. And then a submission loss to Abus Magomedov in the third round. As far as Petrosyan, he is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Decision loss to Caio Bahayo. Decision win against AJ Dobson. Decision win against Christian Leroy Duncan. A submission loss to Rodolfo Vieira. And then a knockout loss to Shara Magomedov. So I think it's a fun fight, man. I'm looking forward to this one. Striker versus striker matchup. And I'm kind of looking at this fight kind of like the Johnson Temerov fight in the sense that, I think all the minute winning is Armen Petrosyan. I don't think the minute winning is going to be that close here. But Bruno Ferreira has power to change a fight quickly and end a fight very quickly. I was going through and watching like these Petrosyan fights, and anytime he's striking with somebody not named Shara, because even against Shara, he was outlanding him. He did get knocked out in Cobb, but he was outlanding Shara. But I was going back and watching some of these fights, and he's making guys like Christian Leroy Duncan look stupid in there. He's making guys like Caio Bahayo look awful on the feet. Outlanding Caio Bahayo. He's making Gregory Rodriguez look silly in the standing. Like Armen Petrosyan striking is absolutely no joke. The knock on Petrosyan has always been just some of the worst takedown defense imaginable. It's 31%, but Bruno's probably not going to be taking him down. And also the chin of Petrosyan would be like the other concern. He has been knocked out in the first round of one of his fights a while back. And then he, of course, did get knocked out with the double spinning back fist. So for me, I think Bruno Ferreira by knockout in the first round is his best path. But I like the striking, the volume, the amount of tools Petrosyan has on the feet with the kicks and the punches. As this fight goes on, I think it heavily favors Petrosyan. But Bruno Ferreira, he has that early knockout chance, I think. So I'm leading Petrosyan, and I don't know. I think there's a couple different ways to play this fight, but I am leaning with who I think is going to be the minute winner here, who I think is going to have more success as the fight goes on. But Bruno Ferreira is a scary dude. He's a scary dude. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this fight, Weezy? Should be a fun fight.
Yeah, really fun fight. And Bruno is just a guy who's constantly switching stances out there. He gives you a lot of different looks, and he's got really good power. Obviously, you could just take one look at the dude and be like, man, I wouldn't want to get hit by this guy. But Petrosyan's striking is just it's fun to watch, man. The guy stays so busy. He's so accurate. And he just, a positive 3.0 distance striking differential is just phenomenal at this level. Attempting 15 distance strikes per minute, that's about a third more than the divisional average. He doesn't really land knockdowns, and you do have to worry about, the fact that he has been knocked out twice in his career. He's been submitted, but, I don't know have you seen Bruno Ferreira wrestle much?
The only time I've seen him wrestle was outside the UFC. He would take somebody down and then pound their head in.
Okay, yeah, and that's going to be live here. That's the thing. If I'm Bruno Ferreira, I'm wrestling early here just because, you got to get Petrosyan out of what he does best, which is staying at range and winning minutes. I mean, this guy was doing pretty well on the feet against Sharon Magomedov, who's a really good kickboxer, obviously. And what a freak knockout. I'll never forget that knockout, man. That ruined that card, absolutely turned on its ear with that happen. I had fight to start round 3 and a double spinning back fist. One goes one direction, the other one goes the other direction. I mean, it was that and the up kick from Irene Aldana to Macy Chason are the 2 worst beats that I've ever had. I've had a few others, but they were mostly referee or judges involved, not like just complete fluke, crazy shit happening. And I think that I agree with you that Petrosyan, better minute winner, potentially Ferreira could win some moments. But if Ferreira can find some success with the grappling because Petrosyan doesn't have great takedown defense, maybe he could create the type of fight where Armen isn't going to be able to be as reliable of a minute winner because he's not spending as much time at distance striking range. What's interesting about Petrosyan here, Brady? The divisional benchmark for amount of takedowns in a 15-minute fight is 3.9. That's about the average that is attempted in this division. So he's only seeing 3.4. So even though Armen Petrosyan has sub 30% takedown defense, his opponents really aren't trying to take him down. Magomedov didn't try to take him down. Christian Leroy Duncan didn't try to take him down. AJ Dobson, I don't think, was even really able to get him down. So I do think that Petrosyan might be a little bit more susceptible to losing minutes on the ground than we originally thought, just because he's seeing so many pure kickboxers out there at the UFC level. So maybe Ferreira might want to, start striking, but then, mix in that wrestling. And if he could do that, that's a potential way to get Armen out of his comfort zone here. But yeah, Armen Petrosyan by decision is probably a pretty good look here. But both of these guys have been finished in a high percentage of their losses. 6 total losses for these guys. 5 of those 6 losses have come inside the distance. And Petrosyan has a 67% finish rate as a pro. And Ferreira has a 100% finish rate as a pro. So maybe violence is the order of business in this one.
Yeah, Ferreira hasn't seen the scorecards yet, and there's a reason for that. And I agree. I mean, if Ferreira wants takedowns, get them. I mean, they're free. They're free. But somebody in the chat mentioned, does he have the cardio to do that? I don't. Yeah, I don't think so, dude. He got out cardioed by Abus Magomedov.
He sure did, man. God. But Abus wrestled him though.
He did, but it was a really bad look. Really bad look.
No, agreed. You don't get out cardioed by that guy without you marking it down on the paper like, okay, yikes, we got to remember that this happened.
Yeah. So yeah, he could take him down, but I think he'd have to maybe finish him. So it's a good fight. Yeah, Petrosyan minus 150, Ferreira plus 130. The over under sit at 2.5 rounds. The over 2.5 minus 125. The under 2.5 is minus 105. I don't think Ferreira's ever went 12.5 minutes. Or did he go 12.5 his last fight? I think it was close
against Magomedov. Yes. So he did have one fight in his career that made it to the last 2.5 minutes of the third round. But all the other fights, Brady, all of them finished under 2.5 rounds. So my over-under betting model has under 2.5 at minus 105 as a slightly underpriced bet, and it's a decent look according to the previous, obviously not the stylistic components of this matchup, but the previous data that we have available.
Yeah, Petrosyan was a killer. Was an absolute killer outside the UFC, like sparking these, even on Contender Series, murked that guy. But in the UFC, the finishing ability hasn't really translated, but he's fighting some tough dudes. Christian Leroy Duncan's a tough dude.
Yes.
Stuff, so
Duncan's never been finished in something like 25 amateur fights and several pro fights as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the fight just comes down to whether or not Petrosyan's chin holds up, and I would tend to agree.
Yeah.
I kind of want to play Petrosyan by decision, small though, because I think he gets KO'd. Yeah, if it goes to decision, I would absolutely lean towards him getting it done. Bruno will put him on his back to milk him from the back. I don't know. I don't think Bruno has the wrestling to hold Petrosyan down. He's a judo and BJJ guy from Brazil. I think he can get him down, but holding down Petrosyan is not the easiest thing to do unless you're Caio Bahayo.
Yeah.
Could Bruno submit him? Maybe. Bruno's a black belt, but I haven't seen much jiu-jitsu from him from the tape available. Bruno by milking, liking violence of this fight. If there's a decent fight, doesn't go. So the under's like -105. So the fight doesn't go, might be like what, -150, -140, something like that.
Yeah, right around there.
Yep, he's a black belt. It was weird. Last night, like two different fighters got their black belts, and they didn't even remotely grapple at all. I think one of them was JJ Aldrich, and then somebody else got their black belt as well. Really,
I didn't see anybody get awarded a black belt.
Chepe Mariscal got awarded his black belt, and
in
so
what? In jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, jiu-jitsu.
Okay,
JJ Aldrich.
Because I think he's been a judo black belt for a long time. Dude, Chepe's judo is phenomenal.
It's very nice.
And I saw Ramos try to judo throw him, and I wanted to put my fist through the screen. I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, who are you, Kiefer Crosby, trying to throw you sets? Come on, man.
They should have gave a Pinto a jiu-jitsu black belt for that knockout against. That was a beautiful knockout. Give the man his black belt. I don't even know if he has a white belt, but hey, give him the black belt. Under 1.5 potential partly. That under 1.5 is going to be probably big plus money, judging by where the total's set.
Yeah.
Shara gave Petrosyan a double fisted milk. Oh boy. Oh
hey,
gosh. Oh my goodness. All right, let's move on to the next fight. And we have an absolute banger. So originally they had this fight as the first fight of the night. Now they have it, I think, as the 5th or 6th fight of the night. But it is Rei Tsuruya going against Joshua Van. We have Rei Tsuruya. He's 22. Wow. 22 years old, 5'6" with a 68-inch reach. Joshua Van, 23 years old, 5'5" with a 65-inch reach. We got Rei Tsuruya 1 year younger, 1-inch height advantage, and a 3-inch reach advantage. Rei Tsuruya 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut against Carlos Hernandez, won the first 2 rounds, and dropped the third. As far as Joshua Van, he is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. A decision win against Kevin Borjas, a knockout win against Felipe Buñas, a knockout loss against the guy with the skullet, a decision win against Edgar Chairez, and then a decision win against Cody Djorden. Yeah, this is the fights I live for, Weezy. This is a phenomenal fight. It is your classic striker versus grappler matchup to a T. I mean, I can't think of a more striker versus grappler matchup than this one, because Rei Tsuruya is a grappler, and that's that. He's looking to grapple. He's looking to grapple often, and he is very slick on the mat. Good takedowns. And yeah, this guy's looking to get the fight down to the ground, and that's what he's going to be doing here. Joshua Van is going to be looking to keep the fight upright. And yeah, Joshua Van, you go back, and one of his only losses, he has 2 losses. One was to Johnson. The other loss was a fight where he did get taken down. It was a really bad look. He got taken down, controlled, and ultimately submitted. But we did learn to find out that Joshua Van had not been training like any wrestling, any jiu-jitsu at that point. And now he's starting to put a focus into the wrestling, into the jiu-jitsu. And we do see a lot of improvements out of Joshua Van with the takedown defense, with the get-up game, with that jiu-jitsu. We saw it in the Buñas fight. He was taken down, but got right back up. Looked good in the Buñas fight, in Edgar Chairez fight, and was able to get back up. Cody Djorden, Cody Djorden did have some success in the first round, but was able to stay safe and stuff takedowns the rest of the fight. So yeah, I think Joshua Van, at 23 years old, it's expected that he's going to be making a lot of improvements with that takedown defense, and I think that's going to be needed here. So I think this fight's pretty simple to break down. Rei Tsuruya is going to go for takedowns early on. I think he probably does get them early on, and if maybe he subs Joshua Van, but if not, I think we all know what's coming, man. Rei Tsuruya slows down. Joshua Van does the complete opposite. Joshua Van starts slow. Joshua Van, as far as I'm concerned, has lost, I think, almost every single first round in the UFC. Once that second round hits, he just flips a switch. He starts to really put it on, able to stuff the takedowns, able to march his opponent down, land a lot of strikes, a lot of volume, and potentially could break Rei Tsuruya as the fight goes on. I'm shocked that Cody Djorden survived 15 minutes. I'm shocked that Edgar Chairez survived 15 minutes. The pace he put on in those fights, the amount of big shots he landed as well. I'm not sure Rei Tsuruya will be able to take some of these big shots late. So I think violence is sneaky here. Like, I could see a Rei Tsuruya early submission. The guy's very good on the mat. But if this fight gets out of the first round and a half, I think that's when Joshua Van really starts to take over and really starts to put it on Rei Tsuruya. So I think it's Tsuruya early, Joshua Van late. That's kind of how I'm seeing this fight play out. But yeah, phenomenal matchup here. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, it doesn't get a lot better than this, man, because you want to talk about two phenomenal prospects. 22-year-old Rei Tsuruya, 10-0 as a professional. 23-year-old Josh Van. This guy's fought 14 times in just over 3 years, Brady. I mean, you want to talk about crazy activity. This guy is fighting every 3 months, and he just appears to be getting better. And look, the first loss of Josh Van's career, he lost to a wrestler named Jackson. And DJ Quick, I think, is his nickname. And that dude went out there and beat him. And since then, I was looking to, because he was so new to the game, because he's only been fighting for three and a half years, I was looking to fade him against grapplers. I faded him against Felipe Bunis. I faded him against Cody Djorden. Of course, I picked him to beat the shit out of Charles Johnson, and then the biggest fluke of 2024 happened. Yeah. So I'm not fading Josh Van against grapplers anymore. I'm done fading this dude. This guy is one of my favorite fighters in the division. I love the pace that he puts on. I love the jab. I love the body work, but the forward pressure and the volume, Brady. Look at this. Joshua Van attempts 18.8 distance strikes per minute and lands at a 52% clip. Rei Tsuruya attempts 2.9 distance strikes per minute and couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat, with a 16.7 distance striking accuracy, landing 0.5 distance strikes per minute against Carlos Hernandez in his debut. So, and obviously Tsuruya has got a very tricky attack. He's not just like going to try to get a single leg and then give up. I mean, he's going to get in on your hips, and then he's going to maybe try to take you down, maybe pull you on top of him, maybe try to get your back, maybe Imanari roll. And, this guy's tricky, and he's coming from all angles. The scrambles in that Hernandez-Tsuruya fight were absolutely phenomenal. And he's got a good win over Mark Climaco, who's a really good fighter in his own right on road to UFC. So, this is a fight that I cannot wait to watch, because I think that both of these guys are really good prospects. Tsuruya with a really good win over a tough fighter in his UFC debut, and Carlos Hernandez, pretty easily won those first 2 rounds and then coasted in the third and easily banked that first UFC win. But this guy, Josh Van, how I talk about it constantly, Brady: durability, forward pressure, volume, and just that pressure, it breaks people. And it's one of my favorite combinations of skill sets in the UFC. When you got your guy backing up, when you're throwing more than them, when you can absorb more punishment than them, and you don't get tired like Josh Van does, he has phenomenal conditioning. Conditioning in this fight is going to be a big deal, because guess what? Rei Tsuruya has to wrestle. He doesn't have a choice. If he stands on the feet, he is going to get milked. He is going to get piped on sight. He's going to get his ass shaved. So it's going to be about Josh Van surviving the grappling exchanges early in this fight. When it's on the feet, putting Rei Tsuruya on the back foot. And if he's able to do that, I think he's going to finish him in the second half of this fight. But I can't wait, man. A 23-year-old versus a 22-year-old. These guys in 24 combined professional fights are 22-2.
Yeah, I don't know why they do this. Try to build these guys up a little bit, right? But no, they're putting 2 very young guys against each other, which sucks, but at the same time, it's going to make for a phenomenal matchup. So I'm really looking forward to this fight. Joshua Van opened at -170. He's currently -190. As far as Tsuruya, he's currently a +165 underdog. The over 2.5 rounds is -210. The under is +170, which kind of surprises me, considering both guys have paths to finish here, but I would kind of like to get that extra 2.5 minutes personally for the fight doesn't go. Just because, Van is more of a 2-3. He doesn't really get started till that second round. So, yeah, Van's fun, man. It kind of reminds me of like a more talented Hyder Emil. Both kind of have the same style, but I just think
very much so.
Yeah, Van has he's really skilled, really good hands, and really 11 years younger than Hyder Emil. So I think Van has a huge upside.
And one thing, Brady, real quick, this was not the original plan. Josh Van was supposed to fight Bruno Silva. So this is Tsuruya stepping in for Bruno Silva here. They didn't. I don't think they wanted to match these prospects up against each other, but I don't think they could resist it either. I mean, you might not like one of these guys having to take a loss here, but you got to like the matchup. You got to like the stylistic components of this fight. It's a great fight.
Yeah, taking a short notice fight against Joshua Van just doesn't really seem like the best idea. But how short notice is he taking this?
Well, I don't think it's that short notice because my spreadsheet has Tsuruya on it, so it's going to be at least 2 weeks notice for Rei Tsuruya, but he's got to travel, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, he's not in America, so Japan to the United States, that's not going to be easy. But what Tsuruya is probably thinking is hey, if I'm going to take a short notice fight, it's better be against the guy that I can out grapple, and maybe he sees an opportunity against Van to do that.
Yeah. I think at least in the first round, I think he's going to put Van in a bunch of very bad positions. And I'm probably going to attack this fight how I should have attacked the Charles Johnson fight, which would have been a live bet because Charles Johnson at the end of the round one, I think was like plus 230, something like that. I think Van might even be plus money after the first round because I really struggle to see Tsuruya not having a lot of success early on, kind of like Cody Djorden did, but even putting Van in even more dangerous positions there. I think Van rolls. I think he might have to battle some adversity, which he's good at, and then I think I'm kind of with you there. I think he does do well in round 2, round 3. Adjective for the week: milked. I love it, man. Whoever came up with that, shout out to them. Van by inverted imagine if Van in inverted heel hooks Rei Tsuruya. That would be incredible. I want to see what subs Van has on his record.
He's got a calf slicer, I think. I think he's got a calf slicer. Which was bizarre, but like that's one thing. He better not be going for calf slicers against Tsuruya, man. You just get up, dude. You just get up. But yeah, he does have a standing rear naked choke and a calf slicer on his record.
Tsuruya's striking sucks, and isn't his haircut really shitty? Van KO1. I don't think his haircut's that bad.
Kid's got a beautiful head of hair. He really does have a beautiful head of hair on him. And you can't say that about a lot of Japanese guys.
Yeah.
But you could say it about Rei Tsuruya.
Yeah, looking at his hair now, I think it's a very solid haircut.
Yeah, I think he's doing just fine with the Japanese ladies, my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very fine. Think it's a grade A live bet. Yeah, I think it's a great live bet as well. Ray was booked to fight it. Oh, was he? UFC 312. He's supposed to fight that?
Oh, shit. Yeah, let's look. Rei Tsuruya was booked to fight Stuart Nickel on February 8th. That would have been a fun fight because Nickel's a good grappler. So, so he's probably in pretty good shape.
He must be thinking of someone else. I mean, there's a couple bad haircuts out there. You're not thinking of Tatsuro Taira, are you?
You know what? I think Rei Tsuruya might have dyed his hair blonde a couple of times. Maybe that's what he's talking about.
Oh, let's see if they have any pictures of him blonde. Oh, maybe he's thinking of this picture in particular. Because that doesn't look that great.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you got long hair, a lot of those guys, they'll put the braids in just for the fight so the hair doesn't get in their eyes. That's not great.
Yeah.
That's a great picture. That's a great picture right there.
That is a good picture.
Look at now. That's great hair. That is great hair right there.
Okay, that's great hair.
Yeah.
I need to hit up his bar. I need to go to Japan. Get my shit right.
Yeah, man.
That is very impressive.
I'm thinking of dyeing my hair jet black now, getting rid of the gray, and then working with Rei Tsuruya's barber because that's a fire haircut.
Looks like he has some highlights mixed in there as well. If you look closely, maybe some highlights in there as well. Very nice.
He's a young man, Get
Yeah.
that Riz going, You're only young once, so you got to make the most of it when you're young and beautiful.
Agreed. So shout out to him for that. All right, so yeah, great fight. Great fight here. I'll move on to the next fight. It is, speaking of getting milked, we got Rizvan Kuniev here, which has to be the hairiest fighter since, what was that guy's name?
Rostam Akman.
Dude, let me pull up the picture. I don't know if you guys remember Atman, but how? That's insane. What makes him think that's a good idea to go in there and fight with that body hair? But Kuniev is it's bad as it's not that bad, but Kuniev's body hair is very bad. But anyway, back to the fight. Kuniev's 32 years old, 6'4" with a 76-inch reach. Blaydes, 34 years old, 6'4" with an 80-inch reach. Kuniev is 2 years younger, same height. Blaydes with a 4-inch reach advantage. Blaydes 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Knockout win against Dawkins. Knockout win against Aspinall. Knockout loss against Sergey Pavlovich. Knockout win against Jalin Almeida. Knockout loss against Tom Aspinall. As far as Kuniev, he is 4-0 and 1 no contest his last 5 fights. He had a knockout win on the Contender Series against Hugo Cunha. So yeah, I remember taping Kuniev for the Contender Series, and what I noticed right away was I was watching some of Kuniev's fights that were, years ago, and he looked in like an awful shape. Not saying he looked like he was a bad fighter, nothing like that, but he looked in awful shape, terrible shape, very hairy. He's slowing down, looks very gassy in there. Doesn't look amazing. And then you skip forward a couple years, and his physique over the last several years, Wheezy, has just changed tremendously. Now all of a sudden he's in very good shape, looking a lot better. But I think a lot of it has to do with just a lot of steroids. Didn't this guy get caught? Is that why that no contest is there? I'm guessing it's from PEDs.
It's from plural PEDs. I mean, he literally got caught with something like 4 or 5 different anabolic steroids in his system.
Geez.
Let me see if I. Okay, yeah. So, drostanolone, metenolone, Boldelone, and 19-norandosterone. Isn't that the one that your doctor gave you because you lost the bet? Yeah, you got the 19-norandosterone. Dude, he got caught with 4 different anabolic steroids.
Holy crap. And that makes sense, dude. That makes sense. I mean, this guy's physique over the last couple of years, I mean, it's so different. And that makes sense. I figured he had to have been on all this. Maybe he lost a bet. Maybe he lost a bet and had to just take all this. Like, that's more than Hamdy. And we don't.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, he got caught with everything, and those losses on his record came back in 2015 and 2014. So he had a loss to Darko Stosic, who was in the UFC. And then he also had a majority decision loss to Justin Big Titty Willis that Curtis Blaydes actually has a win over as well. So little MMA math there. Blaydes a win over Willis. But Kuniev lost to him back in 2015. So, I mean, we can forget about those fights. They're 10 years ago.
Yeah. Dude, holy crap. I'm looking at the difference in pictures, and you can't really see it. But look at that picture I pulled up. That's him on all the steroids, and then that's him not. What the heck? That's a major difference. Those pictures are probably like not too far apart either. That is a major difference. So,
wow.
Yeah, for me, it's like I think Kuniev's like skilled. I think he's a big cheater. I think he's absolutely a cheater. I think he was on all the steroids. I don't think he is anymore because he can't really be. But he has a stiff test in front of him in Curtis Blaydes, who's just fought the much better competition. Kuniev's fought some good guys, but Blaydes has fought like everybody. He's fought the Tom Aspinalls, the Sergey Pavloviches, the Jalin Almeidas, you name it, he's fought everybody. Curtis Blaydes, I think, is a very underrated striker. I don't think his striking gets talked about enough. The problem with Curtis Blaydes is his chin. His striking can look very good, and then just takes one big shot and he's going to sleep. I think he's been knocked out like 5 times at this point. But yeah, striking, the minute winning ability, the power in his own right, it's all very good. The wrestling is all very good. We haven't really seen Blaydes get grappled that much. There was a fight a while back. I forget who it was against, but we did see Jalin Almeida take him down like 11 or 12 times. What I liked about that fight is each time Jalin took down Blaydes, he popped right back up. So yeah, I mean, I like Blaydes here, but it's always tough, man. It's always tough laying this price tag on Curtis Blaydes. I think I might still have PTSD from laying. I laid like minus 300 on Curtis Blaydes against Derek Lewis. Love the matchup. Derek Lewis can't stuff a takedown. Derek Lewis can't win any minutes ever. And then Derek Lewis completely folds him. But I kind of think it's the same thing here. I think Blaydes should absolutely do the better work on the feet. And I'm not convinced Kuniev's going to be able to take down and hold down Curtis Blaydes. And on the flip side, I wouldn't be shocked if Blaydes is able to take down and hold down Kuniev. And then as the fight goes on, Kuniev's not going to have those PEDs to help him out. Can kind of see him maybe slowing down as the fight goes on there. So I do like Blaydes, but I saw this line. I was kind of surprised considering Kuniev is, one of these Contender Series guys that I thought people might, like, but I think they're kind of seeing right through the bull crap a little bit. See, I like Blaydes here, but minus 340. I don't know. It's always tough laying that price tag.
Yeah, it really is. And not only that, like Kuniev is the kind of guy that when I saw him get the wins on Dana White's Contender Series, I kind of felt like he was going to be fast tracked. Dagestani Russian that can wrestle, has got a fairly high level of experience, Eagle FC heavyweight champion, but he's been extremely inactive. His MMA career has lasted 13 years and he's only got 15 professional fights. Steroid suspensions, inactivity, about one fight a year. But he's got a long career. He's been fighting for 3 years longer or 2.5 years longer than Curtis Blaydes has, but Curtis Blaydes has 9 more fights. I mean, Curtis Blaydes has 19 fights actually, Brady, in the last 8.5 years. And that's just at the UFC level. So 8.5 year UFC career with 19 fights. So this guy's fighting 2.5 times a year. He's fought the much better brand of competition. And if there's one criticism about Curtis Blaydes right now, it's that he's fallen in love with his hands. He's not going to the wrestling, which is what got him to where he was going in the first place. It seems like the first time he shot a takedown against Derek Lewis, he got knocked out. And then since then, because he was having success on the feet in that fight, we've kind of seen him go out there and box with guys that maybe he shouldn't be boxing with in Tom Aspinall, in Sergey Pavlovich. It didn't work out well for him. But look, Blaydes has been tested against the best heavyweights in the sport. 19 fights at the UFC level, 13-5 up here. And the losses are 2 to Francis Ngannou, 1 to Pavlovich, 1 to Aspinall, and I forget what the other one, Derek Lewis, the knockout to Derek Lewis. So, I mean, like, these are some of the best fighters in the division. All these guys have either fought for championships or will fight for championships or been champions. So, this is a tough road to hoe for Rizvan Kuniev. And, I something tells me, Brady, that, maybe they made a lot of calls trying to find Kuniev fights because there's a lot of dog shit heavyweights that they could have paired him up with. But I bet a lot of them, had a temporary back injury when they got this call, because this guy Kuniev is pretty good, dude. There's not a lot of holes in the game, He's Russian, he can wrestle, he's got some knockout power, he's got a couple submissions on his record, and he's got an 11-2 record, and the dude hasn't lost since 2015, and he's gotten plenty of help with steroids as well. And not to mention that, I mean, like, Rizvan's got the Riz. He's a handsome man, and that's going to put some female asses in the seats to watch this guy go out there and go about his business. So, maybe Big Riz can shock the world here at only 32 years of age with that Russian wrestling and that well-rounded skill set and find some success. But boy, I mean, I'm not picking him to win. This is a massive step up in competition, and I think Curtis Blaydes is an elite heavyweight. So I'm gonna be picking Curtis Blaydes here, but I need to look a little bit further into Rizvan Kuniev.
Yeah, I've always been so high on Curtis Blaydes. Like, I think this guy has the skill set to be champion. Like, if Curtis Blaydes had a chin, like, I think he could potentially be champion, but he does not have a chin, and he's been knocked out like a million times at this point. So, yeah, maybe Kuniev could potentially be like the sixth person to touch the chin of Blaydes, but Blaydes opened up minus 258. It's been nothing but Blaydes love. He's now minus 340. Kuniev opened up plus 218, been nothing but, like I said, Blaydes love, currently plus 280 there. The over-under sit at 2.5. The over 2.5 is plus 120. The under 2.5 is minus 150. Very tricky total there. Very tricky because Blaydes has been a lot more violent lately. He's been, letting his hands go more, sitting down on his punches more. But I wouldn't be shocked if, Blaydes kind of played this safe and this went to decision as well. But yeah, really tricky total.
Yeah, it is, because Kuniev's never been finished and Blaydes has been finished in all of his losses.
Yeah.
So, it's a very tricky bet here because Blaydes is the favorite, maybe this winds up being a clinch, or a wrestling match. It certainly could wind up being that way. So, yeah, that's a tricky one, man. And where this is currently priced, the bookies kind of put it with where Curtis Blaydes' UFC fights have they've finished under 2.5 rounds 6 of 11 times, which is 55%. And they're pricing it at 60%, which puts, about 3% of VIG in that line, or I'm sorry, about 5.5% of VIG, according to the prior performance of Blaydes at the UFC level. So it seems fairly priced to me at this cost, but I could see I could see this thing going the full 15 and Blaydes winning a decision. I could see Blaydes getting a knockout, and I could see Rizvan landing something too, because Blaydes has been knocked out 5 times.
Yeah, probably a total I just stay away from.
Yeah,
definitely a tricky one. Yeah, he could. He certainly could. He certainly could against anybody at this point.
Yeah.
From Tom Aspinall to Contender Series debutant WTF. Yeah, that is crazy, but I think it shows you what the UFC thinks of this Kuniev guy, I guess.
Yeah.
I think highly of him. Watching on a delay, Weezy asking that guy why his parents weren't happy about him getting his stepsister pregnant is an all-time stat diggers moment. Somebody needs to clip that and post it. Somebody needs to clip that.
I guess I didn't read the second half of the sentence.
I thought you were joking at first, but
I didn't. Like I said, don't get old. Don't get old.
Yeah, I hope not. Or you can lie about your age, like Azamat Mirzakhanov. The dude's 50.
Yeah.
He said he's 32. What about Muslim Salikov? He's 75.
The black and white pictures.
They had to put the camera under a curtain. Muslim Salikov, you are not 40, or you're 75 or even 80 at this point. But that's what I'm going to do. When I'm like 50 or 60, I'm gonna say I'm 30. What are they going to do about it? Nothing.
They can't do anything about it, man. I was with my dad and my aunt, and we were looking at old family pictures, black and white pictures. I swear to God, I saw Muslim Salikov at my great grandparents' wedding, and it was like a picture from the end of The Shining, where everybody's in black and white and they're all dressed up in like 1880s garb, and I'm like, is that fucking Muslim Salikov? I couldn't believe it.
It might have been. It might have been,
man. If anybody's a 600-year-old vampire, it's him or Spivak, man. It's one of those two guys.
Yeah, Spivak might be 1,000 years old. I mean, those vampires, they date a long time back. Speaking of Spivak, isn't he? He's supposed to be fighting somebody. Good matchup coming up. Sergey Spivak's supposed to be taking on somebody fun.
I didn't see. Let me search it on UFC stats.
It's a great matchup.
They've listed it there.
It's a great matchup.
Right, the polar bear, and nothing listed yet. Let's see if it's listed on Tapology. They're always first.
Maybe I'm talking out of my ass.
Maybe. Let's see if they got anything for Spivak. Shamil Gaziev.
Oh,
that's a good fight, dude.
Love it. That's a fun fight, man.
I like that one a lot. That's a good one. That comes up on May 17th. So that one's 2.5 months from now.
Oh, gee, we got a long wait. Long wait.
Yeah, but that's worth the wait. That's a good one.
Oh yeah. I'm sure Spivak is currently in a coffin right now. That's what he does in his spare time. I could see it, dude. Like Spivak just in a coffin in his spare time. I could 100% see it.
That's how he gets his rest between fights. You know, you drink about a half gallon of blood, say, I'm going to the coffin for like 2 months. Please don't bother me.
That's his training camp. Six weeks in the coffin. I'll see you guys soon.
You know what else is on that card is we got one of the best heavyweight fights with Spivak Gaethje, and then they're gonna throw Muhammad Usman versus Hamdi Abdelwahab on that.
God, we're gonna have to do another bet for that one probably, because I'm sure you're gonna take Hamdi. I'm gonna take Usman. We're gonna have to come up with another bet for that one. It's gonna be a pick'em fight.
Yeah, probably will be a pick'em. And I will be betting the draw for sure, because I don't think either one of them is good enough to win. So,
jeez. So that's what we got to look forward to: Hamdi Abdelwahab versus Muhammad Usman. That should be awesome fight. All right,
God.
Moving on to the next fight. We're having fun tonight. You know, we're having fun. We like to have fun on the show. We like to cover all angles, body hair. Haircuts, really any hair, whether it's on the body, like Kuniev, or whether it's on the back of the head, like Charles Johnson. We like to cover, all types of hairstyles. All right, King Green going against Mauricio Ruffy. We got King Green, 38 years old, 5'10" with a 71-inch reach. Mauricio Ruffy, 28 years old, 5'11" with a 75-inch reach. Ruffy, 10 years younger, 1-inch height advantage, 4-inch reach advantage. King Green is 2. You're kind of switching it. I'm trying.
Yeah, I had KL instead of just L.
They're trying to throw me off. No. Okay. So yeah, he's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Submission win against Tony Ferguson. Knockout win against Rand Dawson. Knockout loss to Jalen Turner. Decision win against Jim Miller. And then a submission loss to Paddy Pimblett. As far as Mauricio Ruffy, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. A knockout win against Jamie Malarkey in his debut. And then a kind of a competitive fight against Hamaz Yantop as a massive favorite his last time out. So I guess the big question I have here is Kerry I already asked that. Kerry Hatley has not been arrested. I need to start a petition this week. Going to go around having people sign it. We need to get Kerry Hatley in jail. I went back and watched that Bobby Green, Jalen Turner fight. And it's almost as if Kerry Hatley wanted Bobby Green to die in there. That was one of the worst. That was worse than the Kisaev Benoit Saint Denis stoppage, where Bobby Green clearly was done. He was doing the stanky leg. That was a bad look. And then Jalen Turner landed another shot, completely floored poor Bobby Green. And then Jalen Turner got on top of him and literally pounded him unconscious. And then even after he was unconscious, Kerry Hatley still let the fight continue for another, 3 to 4 seconds. It was one of the worst stoppages I've ever seen. And yeah, Bobby Green's taken a lot of damage in the knockout loss to Dober, the Jalen Turner knockout loss. The Pimblett fight was weird. It was a really weird fight because I went back and watched that fight, and Bobby was looking good in the striking, obviously. He was the better striker in that matchup. And then he was looking good in the striking, right? And then Bobby Green kind of goes for a takedown. And I'm like, I don't understand that. I know Bobby Green showed awful fight IQ in the past, but that was the ultimate bad fight IQ. Goes for a takedown, gets put into a guillotine, turns into a triangle armbar, and gets submitted, goes out cold. I don't know. So yeah, Ruffy is a massive favorite here. He's currently minus 460. Bobby Green is plus 360. And it's a tough one, Wheezy, because I feel like skill for skill, these two are a lot closer. But just how I picture this fight playing out is Bobby Green probably gets knocked out here. So I'm picking Ruffy by knockout, but in no way, shape, or form am I laying minus 460, especially after that Yantop fight. I did not like what I saw in that Yantop fight. And if Green shows up, and we get the best version, which I don't think that version exists anymore. But if we got that best version, I think it's going to look very competitive kind of until it's not. So I think it's only a matter of time before Ruffy does touch the chin. But it is a hefty price to pay. the Fighting Nerds tax is certainly getting baked in here. Minus 460 for Hoofy. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I wish it wasn't minus 460. And, because it's tempting. It's tempting to bet on Green. He is a very good striker. He's very fast still. He's a good boxer, very experienced, fought the much better brand of competition, all that stuff. But Ruffy just has all the aura right now. He's at the right camp. He strikes like Conor McGregor. He's like an orthodox Conor McGregor. He moves the exact same way. He's got that, really explosive counter striking style. Great straight right hand, a lot of power, 10 wins by knockout. And he really looks the part. And Bobby Green's 38 years old. He shot a takedown and got submitted by Paddy Pimblett. He got a life-changing beating from Jalin Turner. The fight against Grant Dawson was just weird. The Jim Miller win, Tony Ferguson. I mean, those are 2 out of his last 3 wins. Ancient fighters, way past their prime, in Jim Miller and Tony Ferguson. And then the Grant Dawson win, it was a weird fight. And, I'm not going to say anything else about that. So,
you think it was a steakhouse bet?
I mean,
KO 1 for Bobby Green had to have been at least 20-1.
Oh, yeah. I think, I think Grant Dawson, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, after that fight, I think we saw Bobby Green show up with like $10,000 in cash to the next.
You're right, he did.
Yeah, dude, he was like talking to it like into a phone and shit. He had a brick of cash with him, and it's like, where'd you get that from, Bobby? He almost dies against Jalin Turner, and then he goes and he changes his name to King at the age of 37. I'm worried about Bobby. I'm a little bit worried about Bobby. Our guy Luke sparring with Reality, Brady.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He tweeted, with the Bart Simpson writing on the chalkboard, "I will not bet Bobby Green. I will not bet Bobby Green. I will." But god damn, is it tempting at this line? It's a little bit tempting after Hoofy looked just okay against Jimmy Yontop. Fat Yontop out there missing weight by 4 pounds with the face tattoos and the head like a cannonball. Maybe Green can look good here. Maybe there's another steakhouse bet at play. Maybe we get a Bobby Green wrestling based decision, or we get a Bobby Green first round knockout. But yeah, man, this is probably Hoofy, but the line is just disgusting. And because of that, it's going to probably be the kind of fight that I just don't have any money on.
I think you might be onto something. Bobby Green cashes a Grant Dawson KO1. Bobby Green cashes a Paddy Pimblett sub-1, shooting a takedown against. I think you're onto something. I think you're onto something.
Look at all that money.
Shows up with a big. How'd you get that money, Bobby Green or King? It probably costs some money to change your name too, right? You probably don't do that for free.
Yeah, I mean, the bureaucrats have to do the work for you, and they don't work for free, Brady. Let me tell you that right now. So that costs money, Bobby's got that swag, man. He throws his money around a little bit, but this is his 51st professional fight.
Yeah.
And the line is it's this wide for a reason. And unfortunately, it makes it really hard to get involved. When you're already starting at a 84% win probability for the favorite, it means all the props are going to be juiced to the tits. And then you're trying to guess, the method that the fight ends, and it gets a little bit tricky.
Yeah, I'm not touching this one. Because I think it is tempting taking a shot on Green as a big dog, but at the end of the day, it's like I don't like having money on Bobby Green in general. Like I've had horrible experiences against Bobby Green. I don't remember if I bet him against Pimblett, but if I you know what, I probably didn't, because if I did bet on Bobby Green against Pimblett, I probably wouldn't be here right now. If I bet on Bobby Green and he shot in for it, so I didn't. I'm pretty sure I didn't, but I remember betting on Bobby Green against Thiago Moises. Clear striking advantage, starts grappling with the guy. Like I don't get Bobby Green sometimes, so I don't like having money on him in general. But now, after all the damage at 38 years old, I won't. But if somebody said, "Hey, I'm taking a shot on Bobby Green at plus 360," I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Hey, I took a shot on Hamos last week at 380. When the number's that big,
Yeah.
you have to just see one or two things that could go your way. A moment, a path to victory with grappling or striking or minute win. You just have to see one or two things. And if you keep those bets small and you make sure that you have a path to victory when you're betting those wide lines, you should be able to pick out some spots. But it's tough when you're betting on the 38-year-old guy, man, who's taken damage and who's been in some weird fights recently.
Yeah. Green is alive if he stays alive in general. If he stays alive in general, I think it's going to look a lot more competitive than the line does indicate. But yeah, the power of Hoofy kind of scares me a little bit. I'm glad Yontop is so durable, which he is. He may not make the best life choice. Face tattoos, probably not the best life choices, right?
Nope.
Not really a hot take there. But what he is very durable. Yontop is very durable. Bobby knows that the cat is out of the bag, and we know he threw the fight versus. I never say stuff like that, but why are you shooting a takedown against Patty Pimple? I don't get it. But maybe he's just has bad fight IQ. So now he actually has to come to fight, but the scorecards are written. Decision for Hoofy, split decision. That is, if it goes to decision, I could see it being close. Grant Dawson fight was rigged. We all know this stuff happens. We've had some weird results. Weird results. King got those 50K bonuses. I'm sure he's had a couple of them throughout his career. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's hard not to like the guys who have been around. I'm biased, and yes, Green is older, 10-year difference, and I think that probably matters here. The over/under set at 1.5. The over 1.5 is minus 225. The under 1.5 is plus 185. Man, any thoughts on the total here? I kind of think I'd rather bet the under than the Hoofy money line at minus 500, but I'm probably staying away regardless.
Yeah, Bobby Green, 24 fights in the UFC. 18 of them have went over 1.5 rounds. So that's 75% of his fights. So this thing is priced at 69%. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to bet an over, in a Bobby Green fight right now, especially with a guy like Hoofy, he's got one punch knockout power, dude.
He does, yeah.
So, man, I mean, I think instead of betting like an under 1.5 at plus 185, I think I'd rather just do like Hoofy KO 1-2 or something like that, or even just see where the Hoofy KO opens up. Because I think that's probably his most likely path. It's not like we haven't seen Bobby Green be knocked out before, and obviously the Jalin Turner one sticks out, quite, and then Drew Dober too. Drew Dober absolutely slept him, but remember, Green was dog walking Dober up until he got caught with that shot in the second round, and that was when I first saw this line, I kept thinking of that Dober fight. I'm like, what if Hoofy doesn't land the shot like Dober did? Does Bobby Green do that to Hoofy for 3 rounds? It's a possibility.
It is like if the durability holds up, but at this point, it's kind of a big if, especially after that Jalin Turner fight. I mean, Kerry Hatley, get some help, man. Get some help.
That was awful.
Under 1.5. Like Weezy said, I agree. I'd rather play the Hoofy KO 1-2. Hoofy 1-2 at a better price, because I don't think Bobby Green's finishing anybody in the first 2 rounds of a fight.
Yeah, and Muhammad, I said plus 185 for the under 1.5. That's what I said. Yes.
Under 1.5.
Yes.
Yeah, I never call it a fix, but that Patty fight and the Grant Dawson fight smell like inside. Oh my! I should have. Sometimes I gotta start reading the comments before I pull them up.
Brad Burris has a way with words. I'm gonna fill up my water, man. Bring us into this next fight.
All right, let's do it. All right, moving on to the next fight in the strawweight division. We got Amanda Lemos going against Iasmin Lucindo. We got Amanda Lemos, 37 years old, 5'4" with a 65-inch reach. Iasmin Lucindo, she is 23 years old, 5'3" with a 66-inch reach. We have Lucindo, who is like 14 years younger. It's going to be Lemos with a 1-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach disadvantage. Amanda Lemos is 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Submission win against Michelle Waterson, a knockout win against Marina Rodriguez, a decision loss to Zhang Wei Li, a decision win against Mackenzie Dern, and then a submission loss to Verna Jandaroba. As far as Lucindo, she is 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Decision loss against Iasmin Jauregui, a decision win against Brogan Walker Sanchez, submission win against Poliana Viana, a decision win against Karolina Kovacevic, and then a decision win against Marina Rodriguez. So, yeah, this is a tricky fight here for me because Lucindo is taking a pretty big step up of competition here. And Rodriguez, like, that's a good win. It was close. It was competitive, but it's a good win. But, I think she is still taking a step up in competition here against Lemos, who is very good, a ton of power, good striking. Has really only lost to some of the best fighters in the division lately. But yeah, I'm looking at this matchup and it's like, stylistically, I do think Lucindo has a good chance to have some success here with the grappling. Like Amanda Lemos, I think around like a 50% takedown defense. And to be fair, she is getting taken down by, good fighters like Zhang Wei Li, like Verna, but even like fighters like, Angela Hill have taken her down. I think even somebody else might have taken her down as well. So I think Lucindo kind of has a path in terms of getting the fight down to the ground. And anytime Lemos has been on her back, it hasn't looked great. She can get stuck on her back and lose minutes down there. And then like even on the feet, I don't think it's like one-way traffic in favor of Lemos either. So I do like the Lucindo side, but I would have liked her a lot more at plus money, man. She was plus money for a while. But this line's kind of been crushed over the last week or so. But yeah, I think I do lean Lucindo. I think she has more ways to win. She's like 14 years younger, but Lemos is a scary fighter for the strawweight division, and obviously very handsome. I mean, this is one of the most handsome fights in a long time. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight here?
Yeah, it really is a handsome fight for sure. And it is a 37-year-old veteran against a 23-year-old. I wouldn't really call Iasmin a prospect, though, because she's got 22 pro fights. I mean, that's nuts, dude.
That is
She's
crazy.
been fighting since she was 16 years old as a pro. And she's been very, very active, fighting almost 3 times a year. So I think Lucindo coming into the UFC, fighting Iasmin Jauregui on short notice and really having a phenomenal back and forth fight with her. Then she goes out, beats Brogan Walker, no big deal. She subs Poliana Viana, good win. Beats a veteran in Karolina Kovacevic, and then coming off a split decision win over Marina Rodriguez, who's a top 10 strawweight and a phenomenal Muay Thai kickboxer. So, Iasmin's the real deal. The numbers look good, a really good distance striking numbers with 42.5% accuracy. She's got 68.5% distance striking defense. That's going to be really important against somebody like Amanda Lemos, who's got a 6-to-1 UFC knockdown ratio. You very rarely see female strawweights with a 0.5% knockdown ratio, a knockdown percentage, where 1 out of like every 200 significant strikes lands as a knockdown. That would be 0.5%, and that would be above average for the division. She lands knockdowns on 1.6% of the significant strikes that she lands. So Amanda Lemos has terrifying power, very good accuracy on the feet at 49%. But she's 37 years old, Brady. She's 8-4 in the UFC. She's finished 5 of those 8 wins. Good win over Mackenzie Dern, but that was a very close fight. That one could have went either way. And Mackenzie Dern's a lot more hittable than Iasmin Lucindo. She also did get a win over Marina Rodriguez and knocked her out. So she did a better job against Marina than what Iasmin did. But the fact that Iasmin did it when she was 23, got a win over somebody like Marina, shows that, this is a young lady that's going to be improving still. She's going to be growing into her body. She's going to be, rounding out her MMA skill set at only 23 years of age. And she's got a 4-1 record so far. And that fight against Jauregui was close. So I'm a big fan of Lucindo's UFC performances so far. And I think that this is the right step up at the right time for her, because I think she's a really, really high-level prospect at only 23 years of age, and she's showing a well-rounded skill set. She's winning 81.5% of the control time positions in her fights. She's getting her takedowns at a 58% clip. You know, she's controlling her opponents 22% of her UFC cage time, and while she's at distance, she's durable, and she's accurate and very defensively responsible. So I think that this is going to be a fight that plays out very close, Brady. I could see both ladies having success on the feet. I could see Iasmin Lucindo having a little bit of success with the grappling, and I think she'd be very smart to mix that in. Don't let her plant her feet. You know, try to get, Amanda backing up with takedown attempts and with forward pressure so that you don't have to worry as much about the power, because that's what you're really worrying about at this point from Lemos, right? She's not a great minute winner. You know, she needs to land the big shots in order to win fights. As a matter of fact, she lost more minutes than she won in the Mackenzie Dern fight, but she almost finished the fight there in the second round, and that's why she won that fight. So first round, she landed the bigger shots in the first half of the round, but got controlled in the second half of the round. So if she loses that fight to Mackenzie Dern, you know, she's lost 3 out of her last 4 fights, and she'd be on a 3-fight losing streak right now, while Iasmin Lucindo is on a 4-fight winning streak, but against much lower level competition than what we've seen Lemos fight in her recent fights. So I think that this is a fascinating matchup. Old lion of the division with great power coming up against a young prospect who's climbing that ladder and showing a lot of promise. So this is, I think, the right step up at the right time for Lucindo, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. But I think it's going to go to decision, and I think it's probably going to be a very close fight, Brady.
Yeah, no, it could be. I wish I would have looked into this sooner. I would have absolutely took a shot on Lucindo at plus money. And she was a pick 'em for a while too. February 27th, a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this line's just it's moving, man. It's moving. Yeah, I do like Lucinda here. I think she has more ways to win. Better minute winner, but Lemos does have some power. Yeah, I think it could be a good spot for Lucinda. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with this fight yet. Kind of pissed I missed the line by that much though. Over under set at 2.5. The over 2.5 is minus 265. The under 2.5 plus 205. Although both these fighters dangerous, I agree. I think it goes 15 more often.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, Lemos's 3-round fights have finished under 2.5 rounds 5 of 8 times. And one of those fights where she was this close to getting Mackenzie Dern out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So Lucindo's fights have only finished under 2.5 rounds 1 of 5 times. But because there's a 46% finish rate combined between these two fighters and a 13-fight sample size, we're only paying 33% on the plus 205 under 2.5. My model says that according to past performances and current benchmarks, that the under is underpriced at plus 205.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's getting a finish, I kind of think it would be Lemos. Lucindo couldn't finish. She couldn't cash my my inside the distance bet against Brogad Walker Sanchez. I still don't understand that one, but she did sub Viana though, so you never know. Brady, who of these two has the most handsome haircut? God, I mean, flip a coin, man. I mean, both are just so handsome. I mean, Lemos just have been coming out with that with the messy hair lately. Lucindo's is more, straight cut, just not as more clean, I should say. It's a tough one. I mean, pick your poison.
I think Lemos has got a little bit more pizzazz with that silver dye job that she pulls there, a little bit longer, a little bit more of a Rei Tsuruya vibe on the Lemos side. So I'm going to give her the swag advantage. But then again, Lucindo's got the throat tattoo that says overcome.
Yeah.
Or is it overcome or is it something else? I forget what I think overcome might be Denise Gomez. No, she's got the butterfly tattoo.
Oh,
and it says, damn it. Somebody help me out. What does Iasmin's tattoo say? Because that's important. It's important how we cap this fight.
It is. Let me see. Is it in English? What is
It's a word in English. I just, oh God, we gotta like go to, I don't know.
I'm looking. It's just a symbol. I think
it's just because I think it's a butterfly, but I think there's a word on the butterfly or something like that.
It says be yourself.
Be yourself. Okay, that's what it is. Overcome is what the throat tattoo that Denise Gomez has.
Be yourself. I don't know. I kind of wanted something a little. I mean, I guess it's okay. Be yourself. I don't know.
Well, Lucindo's a good fighter, and she's herself in that cage.
God, she's so handsome. I mean, you don't see a fella that handsome in the UFC. That's a handsome fella right there.
Yeah, you got that right.
You don't see many handsome fellas like Iasmin. So I don't know. I think I might change my pick to you. I'm looking at some pictures of her right now, and I think she could be pound for pound because she weighs 115. Like I think she could be pound for pound one of the most handsome fighters in UFC currently.
Yeah, and she's still young too.
Yeah, very handsome.
Mm-hmm.
Very handsome. Come on over, overcome. Okay. Oh my, I can't pull up some of these. Dixon, I can't pull that up, dude. I can't pull it up. Some handsome girl. Yeah, they're both very handsome. We going to doing it. Yeah, we kind of briefly we did that one first, kind of briefly touched on it a little bit. And it is important to be yourself. I would tend to agree. All right. Let's move on. God, that was a handsome fight. Let's move on to a really fun fight, though, Weezy. It is Jalin Turner going against Ignacio Bahamondes in what has to be fight of the night. If it lasts long enough to be, this has to be fight of the night, right? Jalin Turner, but Bahamondes, this fight is going to be ridiculous. Jalin Turner, he is 29 years old, 6'3" with a 77-inch reach. Ignacio Bahamondes, 27 years old, 6'3" with a 75-inch reach. Bahamondes, 2 years younger, same height. Turner with a 2-inch reach advantage. Jalin Turner is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Submission win against Brad Riddell. Decision loss against Mateus Gamrot. Decision loss against Dan Hooker. Knockout win against Bobby Green. And then a knockout loss to Renato Moicano. As far as Bahamondes, he is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. A submission win against Rong Zhu. A decision win against Trey Ogden. Decision loss against Ludovic Klein, a knockout win against Christos Giagos, and then a knockout win against Manuel Torres. Geez, man, this fight's so good. It's about a pick'em, or it was. Looks like some money is coming in on Bahamondes a little bit. And I like both these guys a ton. I've always been a big fan of Jalin Turner and just how violent this guy is. Just a really violent fighter, really sneaky submission game, a ton of power on the feet. He's absolutely massive for the division, and both these guys are. Both these guys are 6'3" at lightweight. It's ridiculous. But Bahamondes is a guy that early on, it's like I wasn't too impressed with Bahamondes. He kind of won me over a little bit. He did make his debut against was it John McDessie? And he lost that. It was like a 38-year-old John McDessie coming off of like some serious injury, and he lost that fight to John McDessie. And I'm like, oh, Bahamondes. I'm not sure if he's going to be that great. And I remember I think I either picked or bet Roosevelt Roberts, and I just felt so stupid because I thought Roberts would be able to take down Bahamondes, and no, he wasn't able to. Bahamondes showed elite takedown defense in that fight. Roberts went 0 for 12, and then Bahamondes finished the fight with a nasty head kick. With like 5 seconds left. So kind of started winning me over. He submitted a Rong Zhu that had pink hair. I liked that. And then I kind of started to become a fan of this guy a little bit. The Giagos win was a good win in the first round. The Manuel Torres finish was a very fun finish on UFC 306. So, man, I like both these guys a lot. It sucks I got to pick against one. And I think it's a tough fight to call. I think it's a very tough fight to call. I think it really all comes down to who's going to land that big shot first, whose durability is going to hold up, because both these guys have a lot of power. I think Bahamondes is definitely the more durable guy. This guy's never been knocked out. He's shown a very good chin. If he does get knocked down, his recoverability is really good. Whereas with Jalin Turner, he has been knocked out 4 times in his career. I think Bahamondes has better cardio. I think Bahamondes has a lot of tools on the feet that he can use, especially as the fight goes on. but Jalin Turner has a lot of power. So I think I kind of lean Bahamondes here. But I don't know, man. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I like Bahamondes here because I think he's the better striker. I really do. Turner is 6'3" with a 77-inch reach, and he's a southpaw. So that's really difficult for 90% of the division to deal with. But Ignacio Bahamondes is 6'3" with a 75-inch reach, and he's got a kickboxing base and a very, very good one at that. You know, his dad was a kickboxer. This guy was basically born in the cage. His nickname is La Jaula, you know, which just means the cage, you know. So this guy has been born to do this. This has always been the plan. It's always been the path. And here he is. He's 5-2 in the UFC, man. And you know what? He got caught by McDessie in the first round and was put on skates, put in a really bad spot. But you know what, dude? For a UFC debutant at the age of 23, to almost get knocked out by a veteran and John McDessie in the first round, and then arguably come back from that to win the second and third rounds, that was a split decision fight. And you could make an argument that Ignacio won that fight. So he showed heart, he showed durability. And when it comes, so look, you agree with me on this probably, Brady. Neither one of these guys is trying to take the other one down, right?
No, I don't think so.
I think that this one's going to come down to who the better striker is. And you've got nice sample sizes from both guys. Now, to be fair, Jalin Turner has fought the much tougher strength of schedule. He's been in there against Dan Hooker and Moicano and Green and Gamrot, you know, while Bahamondes has been in there against a slightly lower level of UFC competition. But these guys' wins match up very nice. So they're both beating about the same level of competition. And when you look at the distance striking metrics, 42% accuracy for Turner, 45% accuracy for Bahamondes, 14.3 distance strike attempts for Turner, 17 distance strike attempts for Bahamondes. So Bahamondes is the busier striker. Here's the key, Brady. 42% distance striking defense and 2 knockdowns absorbed for Jalin Turner. 59% distance striking defense for Ignacio Bahamondes. 0 knockdowns absorbed. So with Ignacio, you've got the guy who's more accurate. You've got the guy who throws more volume. You've got the guy who is the more defensively sound striker. And you got the guy who's been knocked down less. So both these guys have power. But I think it's going to come down to the striking. And because Bahamondes is 6'3", he's not going to be at this height and reach disadvantage like a lot of Jalin Turner's other opponents have been. So I'm going to go with Ignacio Bahamondes to win the striking exchanges of this fight and get his hand raised. But this is a great test for him. And this is phenomenal matchmaking. This is a pay-per-view worthy fight. And I cannot wait to see how this one plays out.
Yep. I think potential fight of the night. Like I said, unless it finishes early, which Bahamondes' last 2 fights have finished early. I kind of expected like typically Giagos will get finished in like round 2 or round 3, but Bahamondes finished him in round 1. And I kind of thought the Torres fight would maybe extend to round 2, but absolutely not. I mean, Torres I went back and watched that fight today. Torres had that remember that Sam Alvey Marcin Prachnio fight where Prachnio just ran into Sam Alvey. he did that twice against Bahamondes. It was hilarious. But yeah, I think he brought up a ton of good points. I think Bahamondes more durable, more dog, better cardio, better striking defense. But Jalin Turner's power does scare me a little bit. And somebody in the chat said it. Does Turner go to the grappling? Like, Turner is a black belt. Bahamondes has been subbed a couple times. That beat a long time ago, but maybe. But I kind of do think they're going to strike.
Yeah, I think they're going to strike as well. So it's going to be a very interesting fight.
Dixon, I swear, you've said end split for every fight on this card, Dixon. I don't know. Certified banger, yes. Certified banger indeed. Apologies. Tuned in late. Appreciate the short notice deep dive. Good to see you in here. Local man shakes fist. It's late night. Bahamondes third round KO. Yeah, I could see like a 2. I love Bahamondes 2-3 props, but he's been finishing guys in round 1. It's not cool. Turner doesn't have fight IQ. Yeah, he showed some terrible fight IQ in the Moicano fight. Remember when he knocked out Moicano, but let him
to the ground, right?
He was pointing at the ref to stop the fight instead of.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He didn't finish up. He pulled a what's that guy's name? Fight ready guy, Saldana.
Yeah, Luis Saldana.
Yeah, Saldana had. Oh God, that was just unbelievable. He knocked the guy out. Walked away. The ref didn't stop the fight. Then he knocked him down again, and then he kneed him in the face while he was down. And got a point taken, so he didn't even win the round. Oh, Luis Saldana, get some help.
Get some help, and I think he got cut as well. Hopefully he's doing all right. But yeah, guys, let's keep moving on. We are 2 hours and 30 minutes in. This is going to be like the longest show ever.
We're having too much fun. That's the problem.
Yeah, too much fun. Neck tattoos, skullets, body hair, you name it. We talk about it on the show. All right. Co-main event, we have Justin Gaethje, Rafael Fiziev. We got Gaethje, 36 years old, 5'11" with a 70-inch reach. Fiziev, 31 years old, 5'8" with a 71-inch reach. Fiziev, 5 years younger. Gaethje with a 3-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach disadvantage. We got Gaethje, who is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. A decision win against Michael Chandler. Submission loss to Charles Oliveira. Decision win against Rafael Fiziev. Knockout win against Dustin Poirier. And then a knockout loss to Max Holloway. As far as Fiziev, he is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Submission loss to Islam. Knockout loss to Arnold Allen. Knockout win against Claudio Poyas. These aren't right, are they?
Oh, you know what? No, they're wrong because he was supposed to be fighting. I just had to switch the stats up before the fight. He was supposed to be fighting whoever just beat Hooker. Those are Hooker's last fight.
I was like, what?
I'll switch it up right now.
Okay, all good. Anywho, so we've seen this fight before where they announced the fight. I mean, it's a fun fight, but I just feel like I just kind of wanted to see something else. You know, Justin Gaethje is a big draw. Kind of wanted to see something else. And the other thing I don't like is the fact that this is 3 rounds. Kind of sucks, but I think there's a reason for that. I think that there's no way Fiziev is accepting a 5-round fight. Especially on short notice. And the reason being is if you go watch Rafael Fiziev fights, it's either plays out one of 2 ways. Like he either knocks you out in the first round or he wins the first 2 rounds and then he loses the second. It happened in the Bobby Green fight, happened in the first Gaethje fight. I went back and watched the first Gaethje fight and it was a very close fight. In the first round, you give it to Fiziev. The third round, you give it to Gaethje. And then it comes down to who you gave the second round to. It looked pretty much like a pick'em, but I don't know. I'm kind of worried about Justin Gaethje for a couple reasons. That knockout loss against Max Holloway was a life-changing knockout. I saw a video on Instagram where it showed like close-up of Justin Gaethje's face during the knockout, and it was kind of hard to watch. Like that was a brutal knockout, a knockout you just don't really come back from. But the funny thing about that is Gaethje's had several of those knockout losses. The Barbosa fight. What was the fight where he got broken down the? No, was it Barbosa or was it Let
me look here.
No, it wasn't Barbosa. Who was it?
Poirier.
Not the Poirier fight.
Habib finished him.
Oh, the Eddie Alvarez fight.
Oh, yeah, Alvarez way back. Yeah, that was a 3-round fight, and he got finished at the end of the 3rd round of that one.
The Poirier fight, the first one. The Charles Oliveira fight got dropped in that fight. So he's just taking a lot of damage. Like anytime Justin Gaethje fights, he's always in wars. So, and I went back and watched the Holloway fight, and it's like he looked off in that fight. He looked very bad. And I know it's Max Holloway. Holloway is a great striker, but if that same version of Justin Gaethje shows up, he's going to lose this fight easily, in my opinion. So I don't know. The first fight was close. What's changed since then? Gaethje died. So I don't know. I kind of like Fiziev here. The only concern is he's almost guaranteed to lose the 3rd round. I don't like that. And he has taken this fight on short notice. I also don't like that. And this fight probably ends up being competitive. I also don't like that when you're laying juice. But I do think I lean to the Fiziev side. But should be a close fight. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight here?
I don't know. Am I crazy for thinking that this is just a complete stay away?
Maybe. I mean, probably. I mean, the first fight played out, looked like a straight pick'em.
It looked like a straight pick'em. You've got Gaethje coming off a career-changing knockout and on a 10-month layoff, and he did not do any sparring, anything for 6 full months after that KO. So he did, he talked to the doctors. They told him, look, you're 36 years, 35 years old when he got knocked out by Holloway there, and he's been finished in all 5 of his professional losses. They told him no sparring, no contact for 6 months, and he did that. So now he's been back in the gym and working, and he's ready to go. But Fiziev tore up his knee in the Gamrot fight, and now we haven't seen him in almost a year and a half, Brady, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a striker versus striker matchup. So we got to worry a little bit about Gaethje's chin. We got to worry a little bit about the short notice for Fiziev, and does he have 3-round cardio? And for a guy who throws as many kicks as he does, what's the knee looking like? How sturdy is it? We haven't seen him in a very long time. So Fiziev might be compromised here, taking this fight on short notice, having to take a year and a half off from a knee injury. That's a little bit odd at less than 32 years of age, Brady, with the amazing doctors that this organization has. You're taking a year and a half off. That was probably an extremely serious knee injury, because if I'm not mistaken, he hasn't had any other fights scheduled, right, Fiziev? Yeah, there's been nothing scheduled since September 23rd of 2023. This is the first fight scheduled for Fiziev, and it's short notice. This was supposed to be Dan Hooker. That fight just fell off less than a week ago. So, oh God, I mean, like, striker versus striker, who lands the first big shot? These guys are very well matched. We already saw that, but now Justin Gaethje's 36. Rafael's going on 32. Is he going to be fighting on his birthday here? He's going to be fighting a little bit after his birthday. So I don't know, man. This is one that I'm probably not going to have any money on, because I'm worried about Gaethje's chin, and I'm worried about what version of Fiziev we get on short notice after an 18-month layoff.
Yeah, no, you brought up a ton of good points. A lot of sketchy things on both sides. The layoff, the injury for Fiziev, and then Justin Gaethje just might not be the same. I mean, the life-changing knockout. Fiziev opened up minus 150, currently minus 140. Gaethje currently plus 120. The over under set at 2.5. The over 2.5 minus 130. The under 2.5 plus 100. As we know, most rematches don't play out the same. I wouldn't shock me if Fiziev knocked out Justin Gaethje, if that chin just wasn't the same anymore. And it really shouldn't shock anybody if Gaethje got a knockout, right? So maybe I might take a contrarian approach and take violence here at plus money, because last time they fought, I remember I laid like minus 150 on just the fight to end by knockout. So the fight ends inside the distance had to be like minus 250. But now we're getting plus money on an under. So maybe I'll take a contrarian approach and go under here. But yeah, outside of that, I'm not too sure what to do with this fight, with all things considered. Another sketchy co-main event. We had one last week, and we got another one this week. Should be fun though.
Yeah, and my template's wrong. I was just going to put the totals in, but the Hooker fight was supposed to be 5 rounds, but because this is short notice, it's only scheduled for 3. So I'm going to have to change that on my over-under betting model. But yeah, if I were you, Brady, and I mean, I'm not, obviously, but I think the unders are pretty good here, dude. It's a Justin Gaethje fight.
Yeah, and it's one of those where if it goes over, you at least know that they tried to finish the fight.
Yeah.
I hate betting an under and like they don't try. Like that's the worst. At least
that's not going to be a problem with these two guys. That's for sure.
Yeah, so maybe I'll do that. But Dixon's liking the split decision, I'm sure, on this one. Let's see. I feel like the highlight showed Fiziev that there are levels, and maybe once again concerned Gaethje's shin is not the same. It may get a Fiziev finish only bet or possibly KO. Yeah, I could see it, man. And even in that first fight, Fiziev was landing some big shots on the chin of Gaethje. Gaethje was able to eat him, but we'll see if he eats him this time around. Yeah, the Alvarez fight was bad. It was very bad. Alvarez, yeah, the knee. Where's Colton G? Haven't seen Colton G in a while, but Colton G says he'll pipe you on site. Him and his homies. He said him and his homies are gonna pipe me on site.
He's got to be in jail, dude. The guy probably had a road rage incident sometime in the last couple of weeks, and might be locked up.
Yeah, I could see something like that. Maybe he's in jail. I can definitely see that.
Colton G.
Colton G. Get some help. Yep, red flags on both sides. I think 14 months is enough, but if a guy points down to swing, you don't do that unless you have a Joker card. Nah, mean. Off topic, UFC 3 is officially offline. Oh, no. I'm a big fan of UFC 3 myself, but... and he's saying this fight's such a toss-up. I got the other guy. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I got the other guy as well. All right.
You'll never be wrong when you pick the other guy.
True that. All right. So we're at the main event. It is Magomed Ankalaev going against Alex Pereira. We got Alex Pereira, 37 years old, 6'4" with a 79-inch reach. Magomed Ankalaev, 32 years old, 6'3" with a 75-inch reach. We got Ankalaev, 5 years younger. Pereira, 1-inch height advantage, 4-inch reach advantage. Pereira's 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Split against Blachowicz. Knockout wins against Prochazka, Hill. Prochazka once more, and then Roundtree. And then as far as Ankalaev, he is 4-0 and 1 draw in his last 5 fights. Knockout win against Anthony Smith. A draw against Jan Blachowicz. No contest against Johnny Walker. A knockout win against Johnny Walker. And then a decision win against Alexander Rakic. I'm shocked that this fight's happening. I thought they were going to try to keep Ankalaev away from Alex Pereira as long as possible and just give him anybody but Ankalaev. But shout out to Pereira for accepting this fight, because this is the toughest possible matchup he could take in the division. And if he's able to finish, or beat Ankalaev, I mean, that will be incredible. So Ankalaev's a guy that, a lot of people thought that this guy at some point in his career will be champion. He got the opportunity to do such, and he completely shit the bed against Jan Blachowicz. That fight ends up being a draw, ends up being a god-awful fight. But now he's getting another opportunity here against Alex Pereira. And I feel like my judgment, and I feel like maybe even your judgment, Wheezy, might be clouded here, because I think me and you both are just not fans of Ankalaev. To be frank, I don't think anybody's a fan of Magomed Ankalaev. Have you ever seen a Magomed Ankalaev fan out there?
Yeah.
You have?
I mean, like, dude, if you wore a shirt with Magomed Ankalaev's picture on it, you'd probably get jailed. You know what I mean? Like, because it's hard to look at this dude. He's got one of the worst noses I've ever seen on a human being. I mean, like, it looks like he's from another planet, and he fights at this bureaucratic pace, so he's a hard guy to be a big fan of, but you can be a big fan of what he brings to the cage, which is a really well-rounded skill set, pinpoint striking, some good wrestling when he chooses to bring it out, and a great experience. And what a record. 21-1.
Yeah.
And the loss was what? The loss was the last second triangle choke to Paul Craig, a fight he dominated for 14 minutes and 59 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
What a record.
No, I think he's really good. He just kind of falls into like the William Gomi category in terms of just being so boring. I think that's kind of what clouds my judgment. But he's a really good fighter. Really good fighter. And this is an interesting fight because it's like on the feet, although I think Ankalaev is a really good striker, it's just I think Alex Pereira is going to give him a lot of problems. I think the leg kicks will be a huge factor here when this fight's on the feet. Jan Blachowicz almost looked like he was on his way to finishing Ankalaev with leg kicks. I think it was like the third round. Ankalaev was like hobbling around in that third round I saw. So yeah, I think the leg kicks will be a factor, but I think it's pretty obvious that Ankalaev should wrestle. But I was looking through his like record, and it's like this guy doesn't wrestle that much at all. I mean, he lands less than a takedown per 15 minutes. Does he have the cardio to wrestle? I mean, these are all questions we have to ask ourselves here. It's a pick 'em fight. Closest line fight on the card. I think it's either Ankalaev is able to take down and hold down Pereira, ultimately winning a decision, maybe getting a finish, or I think it's Pereira, doing the better work on the feet, getting a knockout, or potentially even winning a striking-based decision. I think this fight can play out a couple different ways. I'm not sure what I want to do with this. I'm almost certain I'm going to pick Pereira to win this fight, but I don't know if I want to bet it though. Ankalaev is just not a guy I want to bet against. What are you leaning for this one, Weezy?
I mean, I don't know, dude. I could see either guy winning this fight. I think the biggest thing is going to be the leg kicks because, like you said, what Blachowicz did, and I actually picked Rakic. I bet him at big plus money to beat Ankalaev because Rakic has really good low leg kicks as well. So obviously, it's something that Ankalaev is going to be working on. But the problem is that Pereira is just such a master at setting them up. And it doesn't matter because Pereira switches stances. So he can kick the inside of your leg. He can kick the outside of your leg. And because he's switching stances, he does such a great job of setting up those calf kicks, of mixing his punches and his calf kicks. And he always lands there. It doesn't matter who Pereira fights. He's destroying your leg. And that's where he starts. And when you start worrying about the leg, then the left hook comes. And that left hook is, it's probably one of the top 3 weapons of that any fighter has in any division of the entire UFC. That left hook, if it lands, nighty-night, keep your butthole tight. So, and then with Ankalaev, you've got a guy who's just such a precise fighter, He's not exciting, but it's sometimes these exciting guys, these not exciting guys are the dominant fighters that you want to have your money on. And let's face it, Magomed Ankalaev has been a fucking money train. This guy just cashes bets, and he should wrestle here. But what's kind of crazy is I think even if he doesn't, I think that this is going to be really close on the feet, don't you? You don't really think that Pereira is going to run away with this one on the feet, do you?
No. But I think the leg kicks could, be big. The leg kicks would be the one thing. But no, Ankalaev's a great striker, really good striker.
And what I worry about is because the leg kicks, right? That's when you stop thinking about that left hook, and it's not like you just have to worry about the left hook with Pereira, and it's not like you just have to worry about the leg kicks. It's everything. This guy he throws jabs to the body too to bring the hands down. And when you bring the hands down, that's when he cracks you with the left hook. So he knows what strikes he wants to land, and he does such a beautiful job of setting it up. So Ankalaev is going to have to figure out ways to really interrupt the rhythm. Yeah, you did hear that correct. Yeah, it's not an original line. That's a Chappelle Show line that but genius steals, Brady. So that's what we do. But Ankalaev is going to have to get Pereira out of that rhythm of striking. But god damn, you can't count on him to do it, dude. How many times have we said, just take him down, Magomed? Did he even take down Anthony Smith?
I think Anthony Smith kind of just flopped to his back, but
okay, I don't even remember if he got a takedown against Anthony Smith. But if you get 0 takedowns out of Anthony Smith, in an Anthony Smith fight, maybe you shouldn't count on him wrestling at all. Like you said, 0.9 takedowns per 15 minutes. He spends about 68% of his time, Ankalaev does, at distance striking range. For Pereira, it's 74%. There's a clear minute-winning advantage in the grappling on the Ankalaev side.
Yeah. Will he use it? Will he use that grappling? I don't know. He kind of seems dumb. Doesn't he seem like a dumb guy? Just look at him.
Yeah.
A little dumb.
Yeah. I mean, he's just kind of, I always called him lazy, He fights kind of lazy, there's below average output on the strike attempts, below average output on the takedown attempts, and but he knows how to win the minutes, and then he finds finishes.
Yep. Yeah, it should be an interesting one. Yeah, pretty much a straight pick 'em. Pereira opened up plus 170, currently minus 115. Ankalaev opened up minus 200, currently minus 105. The over under set at 2.5 rounds. The over 2.5 minus 260. The under 2.5 is plus 130. FanDuel also did get props out on this fight. They opened up the fight, doesn't go at minus 146, and I was tempted by it, but it's now minus 215. I think I'm just going to pass because I could see an Ankalaev decision. I could even see a Pereira decision as well. So I can see this fight going a couple different ways. So I might just stay away from this main event. But it's a good main event. I'm looking forward to it. Not the most exciting main event because it is an Ankalaev fight, but I think what's exciting about it is, at least for me, is I just didn't expect this fight to ever happen. I thought they were going to keep Ankalaev as far away from a title shot as possible, especially after the Blachowicz situation where that fight sucked.
And that fight was a draw, and then neither of them got another title shot. You know, like, it was a close fight. And normally when you see something like that, you'd be like, all right, let's run it back. You know, that was a very close title fight. And they're like, no, both of you are out of contention. We're going to go in a completely different direction here.
Somebody wanted us to pull up the Magomed ankle because this is important in terms of capping the fight. Yeah. Where's that Ankalaev picture of him in the jacket? Is that Capology or Sherdog?
Let me see.
It's not Sherdog. We got to find that picture, man. Is it his Instagram? Maybe. No, it's not. It might be his Instagram, man.
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, he's on the phone too.
Where'd you find it? Where'd you find it?
Yeah. He presented. I just typed in Magomed Ankalaev leather jacket.
Oh.
Let me share. So I'm sharing the screen. There it is.
Oh, wow. I wonder who he's talking to.
He looks good there, actually. Like the nose isn't as prominent, you know, and the leather jacket, he looks good. I mean, he doesn't look Shamil Abdur-Rahimov good in that Percivet FC blazer, but
no.
There's only you can only be elite a small percentage of the time.
Yeah. So yeah, shout out to him for that. That's a great picture. Great picture, great jacket. I still am curious into who he's talking to, but maybe we'll find that out at a different date. All right, Weezy. So yeah, we went through it, all 12 fights. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Now, what we got to do is we got to go and do the Stat Diggers parlay of the week, which did hit last week. We only had one leg, but hey,
and traditionally parlays are two legs. Yes. We understand that, but it was not our fault. We had a fight cancellation, so we got to find something here on Bet Online that we like here. And I mean, Carlos Leal at 725 minus 725 is very tempting.
Yeah, it is. It is tempting. Santos minus 365. Djorden minus 180. We got Petrosyan minus 150. Blaydes minus 340. Ruffy minus 460. Lucindo minus 140. Bahamondes minus 120. Fiziev minus 140. And then straight pick him in the main event. In terms of totals, there weren't a ton of parlayable totals that jumped out to me, really. Was there anything that you liked for a total?
Not particularly in terms of something like juiced that I think happens, not really, man. Not really.
All
Over
right.
1.5 for Leal Morono. You think Morono can last 7.5 minutes with Carlos Leal? That's minus 200.
Maybe. That's the milking of the week, though.
Yeah, that is the milking of the week.
All right. So what leg are you thinking?
I'm not fading Josh Van anymore, dude. I'm not doing it. I think Josh Van's going to run through Rei Tsuruya. Minus 190.
Josh Van, minus 190. Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh. I don't want to parlay Curtis Blaydes. That's off the table. Not parlaying Ruffy.
Yeah, not at that price.
There's not really many parlay pieces, dude. I mean, I really like Djorden to win, but that's disgusting. You don't want to parlay Djorden.
But Ozzy Diaz, man, I just don't know about that dude. I mean, is he going to be able to find a moment against Jordan Santos? Oh, God, I don't know, man.
God, that's disgusting. And then I don't really like any totals. You know what I don't mind is like a fight doesn't go in the Ferreira fight, but even that, it's like
yeah,
I don't know. Help me out. Help me out.
There were a couple of spots that I thought weren't horrible. Oh, what were we looking at here?
Van and Ankalaev.
Dude, what about this, dude? What about an under 2.5 in the Diaz Santos fight? Diaz has never even seen a third round in his career.
I would rather do the fight doesn't go, but yes.
Yeah, and you know it's 2.5, but like because it's stat diggers and we don't have fight doesn't go lines. Mm-hmm. If we were to do a Josh Van parlayed with the under 2.5 in the Ozzy Diaz Jordan Santos fight, that would get us plus 162. But it's big cage, it's pay-per-view. You know, I worry a little bit because Jordan Santos has went to decision in his last 3 fights, but I don't know about Ozzy Diaz, dude. I'm not sure if he's this level yet, but he does have some good finishing potential in his own right.
Yeah, I don't mind that. We'll do that. We'll do that.
You don't mind that? Okay. Yeah, because I mean I do like Van. I think Van's gonna get the job done here, dude.
Yeah. No, I like it. I agree. There's not a ton of parlay pieces this week. It's kind of tough. So yeah, Stat Diggers parlay, Joshua Van money line with the under 2.5 in the Djorden fight. Time for the on-site piping of the week. And as always, we don't care about the odds. It could be whatever odds. It's just who's going to go out there and who's going to pipe their opponent on site. And like Dixon says, like a lot of these fights potentially going to decision, potentially being close. Who's going to go out there and who's going to pipe their opponent out on site, Wheezy?
Oh, man. I mean, like there are some violent, you know, like Mairon Santos is a pretty violent dude. Mauricio Ruffy, you know, might be a pretty violent dude. And, you know, just because Jimmy Yontop didn't fall down, it doesn't mean King Green at 37 years old coming off, you know, like that Jalen Turner knockout less than 3 years ago. And, you know, 20 years from now, he's going to be feeling that one. So what about Blaydes over Kuniev? I mean, like that could be a piping.
For me,
but maybe not. Yeah. I don't know, man. That one might go to decision, actually.
The only 3 I really don't mind is Van, Leal, even though he's minus 700, and then Ruffy. I think those 3 are going to probably pipe their opponents.
Yeah, and short notice for Tsuruya, but different opponent as well. He could have some grappling success early, but man, I think Josh Van, that guy's pressure, I love the pressure that guy puts on.
All right, we can do Van, or we can either take the easy way out or go with the minus 700 favorite, or we can take Van. I think we take Van.
Let's do it. Let's lay our nuts on the table here, you know, and say that we're going to take a little bit of a risk here and go with Josh Van. I mean, like this he's doing everything right now.
How do you spell Rei Tsuruya?
REI.
REI.
And then it's TSURUYA.
TSUR.
UYA.
UYA. Okay, what's the week? To pipe Rei Tsuruya on site. And pull it up. The on-site piping of the week. Joshua Van to pipe Rei Tsuruya on site.
Let's go, man.
There you go. On site. Saying Van's good. Piped then milked. Blaydes is gonna get piped and smoked. Biggest betting read is live betting Van. I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
He's thinking Ruffy for the on pipe. On
yeah,
site.
I could see that for sure. Yeah.
Yep. I agree. I think he pipes him. Fiziev pipes Gaethje. I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, we did it. We're about 3 hours in. Uncle Wheezy, let people know where they can go and support you. I gotta be right back. Somebody's at the door though.
Oh, okay, yeah. Why is someone at the door at 1:17 in the morning? That is not good. Sergey Spivak, do not let him in, Brady. But you can find me on my YouTube channel, Uncle Wheezy. You can find my probability stats and content package on oddsshopper.com. $25 a month gets you access to all my track bets, all of my fight write-ups, these stats packages that you see on the screen here with the over-under betting models, the prop betting models, the matchup stats, and the individual fighter stats for every fighter on the card. You get access to the 4 hours of content that I do for only my Odds Shopper people, which is a full two-hour card, full card breakdown called Balls Deep Breakdowns, and a 2-hour prop betting analysis show called Probability. You can support me over there on oddsshopper.com and check me out on YouTube at Uncle Weezy and on Twitter at MMA Weezy. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 313. Brady, this is going to be a really fun card.
It'll be a really, really fun card indeed. 3 hours in. Oh, we got a dono. Shout out to Gus.
Oh, yeah. Let's go,
Shout
Gus.
out to Gus 139 with the 299. Appreciate you, Colton. It was Colton G and his homies, and they
Did you get knifed?
They were there.
Did he stab you?
They tried to pipe me on site, but they didn't have success. They didn't have success. Oh boy, I got to stay as far away from Colton G as possible. Don't want to be in the same city as that guy, same state even as Colton G and his homies.
Oh,
Not
man.
good. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Had another good crowd. I mean, these late night crowds, man. People seem to be enjoying the late nights. So we'll see what we do next week. We have a pretty trash card next week.
It's not good, Brady.
Yeah, but we
It's
have
not good.
Nunez Cachoeira at least to talk about.
Yes, that's going to be a bomb fight, but we're going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel of the UFC's several divisions on next week's card,
which is fine. I don't mind dumpster diving here and there.
Sure.
But yeah, my full card prediction video will be out tomorrow. I guess I have to look into the Gutierrez fight that just got announced like 2 hours prior to the show. 12 fights for this card. And then, yeah, the regular content will follow. Should be a solid card. Not a ton of spots sticking out this week, but I'm sure we'll find some as the week kind of goes on. Best of luck, everybody, for UFC 303. And we will talk to you guys very soon. See you later.